to allow for the Court of Appeal to hear its appeal to review a decision by the trial judge to hear the case on a day-to-day basis. Lead counsel for the team, Chachu Chikata, argued that any decision not to stay proceedings would be prejudging the appeal. The prosecution, led by Godfred Dame, the Attorney General, however, opposed the application. The minority in Parliament also boycotted Thursday's sitting to accompany and solidarize with two members of the caucus. Hansen Agyemang was in court to follow the proceedings and has come to read this report.
Lead counsel for James Gyakye Quayson, Chachu Chikata, presented his case in favor of staying proceedings in the High Court, allowing the Court of Appeal to hear the application for a review of the decision to try the matter on a daily basis. Chachu Chikata outlined the grounds for the appeal, starting with the assertion that hearing the case on a daily basis undermined the laws governing discretionary powers. According to him, Article 296 of the Constitution sets limitations on the use of discretionary powers, which should be exercised in a fair and candid manner. He argued that the decision to hold daily trials failed to meet this standard. Additionally, he contended that the appeal violated the rules of fair trial as stated in Article 19 of the 1992 Constitution. Another ground for the appeal was the alleged prejudicial comments made by Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame and President Akufo-Addo. The defense team for Gyakye Quayson argued that these comments could influence the outcome of the trial. However, the Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame opposed the application, deeming it grossly incompetent and urging the court to dismiss it. He argued that the appeal was based on the ruling for the daily trial to take place between June 20 and June 23. Since the application was filed after this period, the Attorney General considers it useless. Furthermore, Godfred Yeboah-Dame refuted claims made against him and the President, saying that they had not made any prejudicial comments relating to the trial. During the proceedings, Gyakye Quayson was accompanied by members of the minority group who had boycotted parliamentary proceedings. After the court session, the NDC's communication officer addressed the media on behalf of the group.
We are telling the government that they may have their own plans about intimidating our people, harassing them, persecuting them, making sure that they wouldn't have the time and the focus to do their work as members of parliament in the House. I want to let them know that we are united, we are resolute, and we stand ready to defy their intimidation tactics and to ensure that our colleagues who are being persecuted get all the needed support to weather this storm so that at the end of the day, justice would be done. We don't think that it is right for the trial to be rushed. Yes, the accused is entitled to a fair trial within a reasonable time. But as the lawyers say, justice hurried is justice buried. The lawyers require ample time to do what is required of them so that at the end of the day, the truth and justice will be upheld by the court.
James Gyakye Quayson expressed his gratitude to the supporters who had gathered at the court complex in a show of solidarity. In a separate case, the trial of minority leader Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson was adjourned due to the absence of one of the accused persons who was unable to attend due to ill health.
All right, so you heard that report filed by my colleague Hansen Agyemang. We want to begin the discussion on this matter. My guests this morning are the Honorable Rockson Nelson Dafiamopo, who is Member of Parliament for South Dayi, and Dennis Miracles Abuaji, who is a presidential staffer, and Franklin Cudjoe, President of Imani Africa. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program. I started with you, Honorable Rockson Nelson Dafiamopo. The week has been particularly charged with matters of court, etc. And fortunately, you are a lawyer, and you're a lawyer and you're a law practitioner, a legal practitioner, and a lawmaker. So over the weekend, the Venerable Chief Osadeyo Agyemang Bidu, who also doubles as a High Court judge, at a lecture indicated that the Attorney General should enter nolle prosequi in respect of the matter pending in court, the criminal matter pending in court against Gyakye Quayson, newly elected member of parliament for Assin North. That matter has since drawn a lot of criticism and support, depending on where you stand. I've heard many people from your side applaud the comment and say that that is the way to go. What really is the basis of the support some of you have given to the comment by the chief? Is it the case that by virtue of winning the election, the criminal charges should be dropped? Why is that comment drawing support from your side?
First of all, good morning to yourself, my brother Dennis, and my constituents in Peki, Bali, Pevetongo, in South Dine. One, the fundamental basis for supporting the call by Domahene Nana Agyemang-Badu II, who also doubles as the sitting High Court judge. Indeed, he's been at the High Court for the past 14 years. He's known in that capacity as Daniel Mensah J. It's first the Constitution.
How?
The right to free expression. The right to free expression. So the first basis is the Constitution. Two, the second basis is because it's the overlord of the entire Doma traditional area. It's a very important, prominent paramountcy in this country. He carries a voice and he speaks for the interests of his people. So that's two. Three, his conduct in terms of the comments breaches not the code of conduct for judges and magistrates in this country. I have gone through that code, turn it upside down. The comments didn't breach any single rule contained in that code. So in this context, the Domahini's call is apt, it's constitutional, it's in accord with the rule of law. Indeed, he did not put a gun to the head of the Attorney General. That's not what he's doing. He's making a plea. It is up to the Attorney General to heed to that plea or ignore it. That is why we are a democracy. So for some to bastardize him for giving free expression to his thoughts are rather the people who have engaged in undemocratic conduct. And let me say this. I've listened to comments from people like the Honorable K.T. Hammond, to the extent of calling the Domahene as an NDC party card-bearing member. And that conduct offends Rule 52 of LI 2423. 1920, that's the legal professional conduct and etiquette rules. And what does Rule 52 say? It goes this way. It says a lawyer shall not make a statement which the lawyer knows to be false, or with reckless disregard for its truth or falsity concerning the qualification or integrity of a judge. So if for political expediency to describe Domahene as an NDC person, NDC card-bearing member, you are speaking on truth. You are speaking falsity, matters that are plain falsity, attaching on his integrity. And so he can be a candidate for the General Legal Council in terms of his professional conduct. K.T. Hammond may be trained in the UK, but he's entered on the role of lawyers to practice and he does practice in our courts here. So if there are disciplinary matters, if we feel strongly about his conduct, we want to put him on notice that this is all we may do.
But did he say he was an NDC sympathizer or card-bearing member?
He said it's an NDC person. He didn't even add the card. He said it's an NDC.
No, but it's an NDC person could mean that maybe his views
How
sometimes.
how else?
You know, his views may
Salam, how
identify
else?
as
How
NDC.
else will Miracle be labeled as an NPP person, but for the fact that
No, but the test really of being a member of the party
Yes.
is having a card, is
Exactly.
being a registered
Exactly.
member.
Exactly. So if you say that somebody is an NDC person,
the presumption is that the person
yes,
has a card.
the presumption of regularity, and you are saying so for an effect. You are criticizing him, and you are saying that his views align with the views of the opposition of which he's a member. That's all you are saying.
I see.
And that's all you are saying in respect of a judicial officer of this republic.
But a judicial officer also has a duty to be circumspect in the comments he makes.
That duty, that circumspection, is prescribed by many guides contained in what we call Code of Conduct for Judges and Magistrates. I have asked, and I continue. I am one of the key advocates in support of his comments. I've been in the media the whole week, and I've asked the Honorable Sam Okujeto to show me, because he raised the matter first, to the extent that he even said that the Domahini should be dismissed by the Judicial Council, and that somebody should petition to the Judicial Council. When he was asked during the interview, which I think it was a conference call, he himself chicken out. He said he doesn't want to do it, and that somebody else should do it. So I have asked them that they should show me that code of conduct, which is a guide for every judge, right from the career magistrate to the Supreme Court. They should show me a single regulation in that code, a single rule in that code that his statement breached. So far, nobody has been able to point it out.
But Honorable, you know that when matters are in court, for example, the public is advised not to be speaking against the matter or speaking about the merit of the matter, because it may prejudice or it amounts to sub judice. He is a person of the law. Indeed, he's a judicial officer. And this matter is a very sensitive one. He's addressing a crowd at a forum. And the manner in which he put it, that, he will urge the Attorney General to enter nolle prosequi if he was on the bench, for example, at the Supreme Court, he would have dissented and all of that. I mean, even taking it out of the realms of law, was it appropriate to speak in that manner, given the nature of the issue at stake? Couldn't he have done it differently?
Let me.
For example, if he had called the Attorney General, I'm sure he has access to him, as a paramount chief and even as a judge, and told him, no, but I think ABC, think about it or discuss it with your colleagues and see what can be done. This does not augur well, or this does not sound good, this does not appear well or good. Wouldn't that have been a more responsible way of dealing with it and even getting more results than the public nature? He decided to pursue this.
Okay, in law, we argue substance over form. But this matter is being argued form over substance. You are saying that the substance of his call could have been communicated quietly. That's what you are saying. But your criticism is about the form of the communication. And I have a problem with that. What exactly did the Domahini say? Domahini says, I want to urge the Attorney General to enter another prosequi in this matter. The Attorney General must enter another prosequi in this matter. That's all that he said. In respect of the other matter, which a lot of people have confused it with the trial ongoing, is in respect of the decision of the Supreme Court that took Quayson out of Parliament. And it says that if I were a judge, if I were part of that panel, I would have dissented. In fact, that is what we are trained to do. First as lawyers, and second, when we get onto the bench. A judge must have the the ability anchored in law and the evidence to dissent. That's why we have dissenting opinions. All of us cannot be playing unidirectional. So he says that if I were part of the panel, and mind you, within our constitutional framework, a High Court judge can serve on the Supreme Court as part of a panel. In the same way, the Supreme Court can descend to the High Court level and serve on a panel. So he says, if I were part of the panel, I would have dissented. That matter is the court is functus in that matter. It's done. So it is subject and open to criticism.
And analysis.
Legal analysis. So that criticism is totally baseless and unwarranted and unfounded. People didn't appreciate that perspective. Then the other matter which has attracted attention is in common respect. Nolle prosequi is the Latin to say that the Republic is no longer prosecuting. It's a tool at the disposal of the state, inherent in Article 88 office bearer, which is the Attorney General, to exercise without reason. In our criminal jurisprudence, the Attorney General, when he enters a nolle prosequi, he owes no authority explanation. And that is our law. The Attorney General in this country has recently entered a nolle prosequi in the case of Aisha 1 versus the Republic. Subsequently, Aisha got deported. Did he offer any explanation to anyone? Did anybody compel him to do so? I have no idea. In the case involving those men who stormed the circuit court in Kumasi a couple of years ago, I don't want to go there. Those accused persons. The Attorney General entered a nolle prosequi. He didn't give us any explanation, and nobody bothered to receive one, because that is the law. He has entered nolle prosequi in several other cases,
including the Wusu-Bempah case, I think.
Thank you. So, if there's a call on him to enter a nolle prosequi, it is up to the Attorney General to say, I will accede to that call or I will not. But don't attack the bearer of the message. Look to the contents of the message. If you agree with it, you agree. If you don't disagree. But this incessant attack. We were in this country. Senior Samuel Kujeto took a sitting High Court judge to the cleaners. What did the judge do? The judge merely overturned the decision of the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council to restore the practitioner's license of my brother Xavier Susu. He disagreed openly. He made very disparaging comments about a sitting judge. The judge is now in the Court of Appeal. Nobody whimpered. There was no whimper. Nobody. He threatened me openly.
Threatened you?
Yes, openly. That he will deal with me if we persist in saying that we will have reforms within the General Legal Council by proposing private members' bill in Parliament. Nobody called him to order. So the hypocrisy is too much. We should let Domahini be. And he has since been joined by a former occupant of the office that the Attorney General occupies. Siniaiku Utu. He says it will be prudent if the Republic enters a nolle prosequi in the matter. So far, nobody is criticizing. I've heard my own brother, Franklin Kujo, also entered the fray. I've heard many others. Other lawyers have also made that call. I've heard professors made that call. So why is there this deliberate avalanche of insults directed at the overlord of Doma?
Very well. Let me
Salom,
yes.
This matter is a non-issue. People should be tolerant of dissenting opinion on matters.
Let me take the views of Miracles on this. Miracles, your side has not been very happy about the Domahini's comments, and others have said that his comments will influence the decision of the court, or could influence the decision of the court. And given the nature or the kind of person he is, the pedigree he holds in society, he should be one of the last persons to say this. What was the basis really of those comments, you guys? I mean, a lot of your people have made, including you.
Let me say good morning to my senior brother, Honorable Roxen, and also ask him how his fine road is doing. He has one of the best roads in Ghana. But the good news is that he has acknowledged it, severally.
But I've criticized your government. Yeah. So if, as a result of the criticism, there is response to,
and then he also has one of the fast-moving agenda.
I agree.
Oh, I see. Then your consistency is
no.
Because I talk, I criticize.
But that should make you fear.
He has numerous
fear.
Yes,
for what?
Because if the NPP is doing so well in the constituency,
they are not doing so well. Don't say they are doing so well.
But you have two key things: Major Road and Agenda 111.
It's not that one. He himself, he's listed all the projects. That's just.
Go and do my Todoma to Germany Road.
We'll do that one
23 kilometers.
We will do it for you. So, for me, I really struggle to understand why anybody from the NDC will have an issue with another person criticizing, or also having an issue with Domahin's comments. Because, I mean, today, Honorable Roxen is saying that he's actually quoting constitution and legislative instruments to buttress the point that people are free to speak and they can speak up and all of that. For me, I think it's fine. At this juncture, whatever Nana Domahin said is to support a position that the minority and the NDC are holding. So obviously, if there are critiques against the Domahin, then you should expect that Honorable Roxen them should come to his support. Because if they don't, then they are not being fair to him. Because he is basically positing a position that they are fighting for. I don't think that the issue is whether Domahin's statement could prejudice or affect or influence any decision. I think it has to do more with who he is and his stature and the role. I mean, he's a judge. I am not a lawyer, but the same way Honorable Roxen quoted rules in the around the bar and how lawyers should conduct themselves. I also still hold the view that as a judge, the way and manner in which the comment was put is probably why others will have a concern with, especially
that he will urge the Attorney General to consider entering a
not even that. That's the case itself, the preliminary case, the one that has actually led to the Attorney General pursuing.
That if he was on the bench, he would have dissented.
If he would have, dissented. And for me, I think the manner in which.
Now, what's wrong with saying that he would have dissented?
Well,
and the matter is done, really.
Do you realize the platform on which he was speaking?
He was speaking at what do you call it? At a forum of a former president. I mean, the forum to commemorate
exactly.
Former president's contributions.
An NDC president, for that matter.
A former president of the Republic of Ghana.
He was an NDC.
A former president of the Republic of Ghana.
I want to place the issue into proper context. It helps the conversation because it also helps why people also make certain comments and have certain positions. I mean, we have pastors and chiefs in this country. We say, they can't do politics, but we all know. Even civil society organizations, we say they can't do, but we all know. We know people's inclinations. It's not just about holding a card, but political parties are formed based on ideals and philosophies. And we know people's views and the political parties that they are usually aligned to. And it's no secret that when it comes to Nana Domahin, with all humility and all due respect, his comments and his views are usually inclined towards the NDC on a lot of occasions.
Like which, this is the first time.
There are several.
This is the first time I'm actually.
There are several, and I'm sure that's why people would say that I don't believe that he's an NDC member. I don't think that he holds an NDC card, but I know that he holds a lot of views in support or aligned with the NDC. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What it means is that immediately he makes comments such as these, it's easy for people to try and interpret it as such. because Nana Domahin, I mean, in this country, we don't say it publicly. Our chiefs. I always say that when it comes to chiefs and religious leaders, I'm very, very careful. But in this country, we don't talk about it. But if we list the chiefs, we can mention. In our private rooms and in our private conversations, we can mention this one is CPP, this one is GCPP, this one is LPG. And we know that his views are usually in support of the NDC. And it's of no surprise that you always have the NDC also quickly coming to his defense. My concern is not about those things. My concern is that Nana, as any citizen, if he decides to position himself in that bracket, can call on the Attorney General and appeal or raise concerns and ask that he files that. But the point is, with the kind of voice Nana has and the kind of attention he gets from the state, my concern is the class we are trying to create in this country, where some people become untouchable. Some people, when they have issues, we have people massing up at police headquarters, at the courts, at places to support them and get them out of it and all of that. That has always been my concern.
But I mean, this happens everywhere. It depends on the weight of the person standing trial and how the people view the trial.
Exactly. But the point is that this is a case that has run. And let me place a disclaimer. We in the MPP have no interest. The MPP, New Patriotic Party, we have no interest as to the Chukwueze going through a certain trial and being jailed or not. We are not interested.
Are you sure?
Oh yes, we are not, and I'm telling you that here now.
So even when when the president on the stage, try to allude to the fact that if it's in jail, how does he do the work?
The president didn't say that. You see, what the president said was that the NDC said that even if Chukwueze is sent to jail, he's going to still play his role as a member of parliament from jail. So it's on the back of that the president said that, do you want somebody in jail to be your member of parliament? That's it. So you need to listen to the president's statements in whole. And that's why sometimes when I hear, in this country, once one headline comes out, we run with it and nobody even checks the details of it. The president was referring to the NDC's position that, don't mind the MPP, vote for Chukwueze. Even if he's going to jail, he will still make sure that he helps the people of Arsenal. And the president was saying, is that the kind of member of parliament you want? You want a member of parliament that says that would be working from jail? He did not say that a member of parliament is going to jail. He never said that. And you can watch the video again. But that aside, as it stands now, there's a judgment, a clear judgment, that the issue around Jesse Kwesine's filing in the 2020 elections is wrong. And so his name should be expunged from parliament.
But we've gone beyond that now.
Yeah, but that judgment is still there. He's not absolved from it. He's still
and there's a review application.
Yeah, but that judgment, but that judgment is still there. We need to acknowledge that it is still there. At the moment, that is the law. At the moment, the law is that if you file even 30 minutes before closing of nomination and you don't have your renunciation certificate, you have flouted the law.
I'll let Honorable deal with
but
that in respect of the Indum matter later, because there are various views you have expressed.
But at the moment,
yes,
those commentaries don't matter. You understand what I'm saying? My point is at the moment, those commentaries don't matter because there's a court judgment. Any other thing you say is your view. There is a court judgment, whether there is an Indum case, whether there is an Nana Rawlings Kunedu case, whether there is at the moment there is a ruling. It is no longer an issue of debate. The ruling is that Jesse Kwesine was wrong when it comes to his issue of dual citizenship, for which reason we've gone into a by-election. It is on the back of that the Attorney General says, once this ruling has come, then there is an issue of criminality, and so I am going to court. I would not wish Jesse Kwesine to be in jail, honestly speaking, because whatever it is, it could be that he was ignorant of it, or he knew of it, but I don't think that Jesse Kwesine should go to jail, and I don't also think that if you hold dual citizenship, you should go to jail for that purpose. But that is the law at the moment. The biggest challenge I have now with all the things going on and file this, file that, and withdraw the case is that if we don't complete this case, then what is the position of the law? How do we establish it? How do we know? Because even beyond the ruling of the Supreme Court, here we are, people still passing commentary and trying to separate the issues and create difference between Abu Sakandi and all of that. Can't we say that we should establish the facts of this matter and have a position on it as a country? Or is it because it's Jesse Kwesine? Because Jesse Kwesine is NDC, he's a member of parliament, for which reason, if there is a law that says that he's committed this crime, he should be let go, are the people asking for it, is Nana Domahin saying that Gyekye Quayson should be let go because he is not guilty? Or, oh, he is guilty, but let him go in spite of it? How do we know? How do we establish that? That precedence, when it is set, how do we move on from there? Are we letting Gyekye Quayson go because he's not guilty? Today, if the Attorney General should file for a nollie prosecutor,
but there are people we've also let go. I mean, Honorable mentioned a number of cases. Did we also let them go because we are not guilty?
That's what I'm saying. Some of them, Attorney General let them go because he doesn't have enough evidence to back the case. A lot of them.
But we're not giving reasons. So
yeah, but a lot of them, he doesn't have enough evidence. Sometimes he doesn't have the witnesses. You understand? So those are not the moments. At the moment, the issue of Gyekye Quayson.
So this one, government has. I mean, the state has enough.
I don't know. I don't know. The Attorney General is the one going to prosecute it. And don't forget, this is not an Akufo-Addo against Gyekye Quayson. This is not MPP against Gyekye Quayson. This is a state based on the laws of the state, the laws of the land. So on what basis are we asking for that? And that is where my bigger issue comes in. That Nana Domahin. Today, if you go to the Doma area, on Monday, you will see people who will be dispatched from the courts into our prisons for trivial issues every day. People are being jailed for stealing mobile phones. People are being jailed for 6 months for stealing plantain. People are being jailed for 3 months for stealing wachi, simply because that's what the law says. So if I recall very well one another the point he was making, he said that the prosecution of Gyekye Quayson does not really impact our economy or change much, and so we should let him go. My biggest concern is all these people, all these innocent citizens, all these unfortunate citizens that on daily basis are dispatched from our courts in South Dai, in Kapim North, in our magistrates court, and sent to jail for little cases. How do they affect our economy? Why are we not letting them go? Why are we not letting the young man that has stolen a mobile phone today on the streets go? Because it's just a mobile phone. Why are we not letting the woman who has stolen plantain to feed her children go? Because she was hungry and she needed a plantain to feed her children. Why? Is it that she is not a member of parliament? She's not a high-profile person? Is it because she's not rich? That is why nobody is out there speaking for her? How many years now have we been advocating for community service sentencing to deal with petty thievery? Today, there are people who have committed far less crimes than the crimes that are being alleged on the Gyekye Quayson today, and they are being jailed for 16 years, 20 years. People basically quarrel on the street and they are jailed for years and for months. Who is advocating for them? Why haven't we heard the voices of chiefs like Nana Domahin and Co advocating for them, especially when he's even a judge and he's on daily basis seeing this thing? When I was MC in the Kapim North, when I stand in my office and I open the window, I see the circuit court. And you have no idea. You have no idea the number of people who are dispatched from that circuit court every day into our jails, sometimes for trivial issues. Some of them simply because they couldn't get anybody to even speak up for them. You go to those courts, and Honorable Dafewo would confirm this. There are 2 lawyers who are permanently stationed in these circuit courts. When you come, you know what they do? When the investigators bring you to the door, then they'll come and ask you,
we have a lawyer.
What have you done? You don't have. Then they'll rise for you. They don't even, sometimes they'll listen to your case and say, so this one, you are guilty. Let me talk to the woman so that she'll give you 3 months or 6 months. A lot of them.
The bar must prosper.
But it's not mentioning a pecuniary thing yet.
Yes, but the bar must prosper.
You understand? and there are 2. In my area,
and we have a duty to fight for.
Yes,
for,
I know.
for rights.
Exactly. You understand? Then they'll take their 300, 400. Sometimes, these things happen in our courts. My concern is that, are we not creating is it classism, they call it, in our society, where where when you have an issue, because it's miracles or it's because of Honorable Dafewo Mekpo, you know that this issue will work. Because you have people who sit on radio and TV and ask that your cases are dropped. That's for me is where the concern is. As for the issue of Honorable Katie Hammond, I think Honorable Katie Hammond also reserved the right. The same way Honorable Nana Domahin, Honorable Roxanne is saying that Nana Domahin reserved the right to make.
No, but to say his NDC, his dad,
listen to what he said. He said, Matisse.
No, but of course, no. Katie Hammond is a lawmaker, he's a minister, he's a lawyer.
But Nana Domahin is not a judge.
No, wait, but he's Matisse. But if what to say, is that really the case?
But he didn't say.
Is it something you go out to say?
So I can say that if I have heard that Honorable Dafewo has I want to choose the example carefully. Okay, if I've heard that Honorable Dafeokpo owns this book, why? I can no longer say that I've heard that he owns. That's why he added I've heard. Hey, Namukra, what to say?
No, but he has a duty to ensure that
But
what
the
he
judge-
hears and he hopes,
a judge-
what he hears and is saying is reasonably
But he
true.
didn't say that it is a matter of fact. He says that matter.
Yeah, but I can also say, in making an allegation against you, I can say I've heard
Yes.
that you've killed this person.
Yes, why?
But does that make
He
it
doesn't have
a
that right.
responsible statement? to
Yes,
make?
why not? But why? A judge who sits on the bench, okay, who could actually at some point receive this Jechikwesin case, has made certain statement that people feel that you shouldn't say that. Because if you find yourself in the situation where you're supposed to be dealing with this matter, what will happen?
No, but he'll recuse himself once he
Why?
doesn't.
Haven't we? But we haven't. How do we know he would?
No, but somebody can raise it that
Yeah, but
he has prejudiced the
Exactly.
case.
So it tells
so
you
he will
that.
raise,
So it tells
that's
you
it.
that he has a certain responsibility as a judge to be measured when it comes to utterances of these nature in public. As a judge, they also have similar rules and regulations and code of conduct and ethics, and that is why people raise concerns with him. I don't think that anybody should abuse anybody, and I haven't heard. Honestly, I am yet to hear anybody, use disparaging words against another man here. But people also have the right to also question the points he's made and the position he's made, especially because he's a judge, especially because he's going to sit on the bench and take decisions and make judgments on similar cases. So why don't we want to allow that? Why do we think that Nana Domahin can make his case under the freedom of speech clauses, but other people can also say same about him? Because if you say that if I were part of the panel, I would have done this. Basically, you have called the panel's credibility, integrity, or decision into question. That's what you've done.
He only means he has a different view.
Yes,
on the
but
matter.
then you've called that
Judges sit on the
decision.
bench
So
and
you've
they
called that
dissent.
decision into question.
The judges sit on the bench and they dissent.
Exactly.
They don't call the integrity of the
No,
rest.
but you called the decision into question.
No,
but
he
how
said
about
he would have
judges
dissented.
who dissent?
Dissenting opinion is part of anyway. You are on the floor, so
why
let
you
me-
doing this?
I'll come
Me
All
back.
right, so to conclude, let me bring in.
You've called their decision into question. That is what you have done. There's no question about that. If I say that if I were you, I wouldn't have done this. That is it's the same. I've doubted or questioned your choice and your decision, and that is where it's where, especially when.
But that's allowed.
Yeah.
It's a dissenting.
So why is it
opinion.
not also allowed for me to also
So that
question your integrity and
that-
the
that-
background
that he was
and
NDC.
your yes? Why not? If I feel that your position is also clothed in partisanship, why can't I also say that? I don't
But
have that
that
right.
was the comment clothed in law. I think that's where
Which
the bigger
comment?
consideration should be. The knowledge process, for example, the dissenting.
By calling your neutrality into question is also clothed in law. It's freedom of speech. I have every right to also question the mindset behind your comments. That is also law. Everything we are doing is law. So long as I'm not attacking, I'm not abusing you verbally or physically, we have every right to make our points and state our positions. And that's why I do have no issue, no qualms whatsoever with Ronaldo Mahi in saying what he said. I don't think that can influence the Attorney General. I don't think that can influence any judge. But people also have the right to say, oh, you are a judge. You shouldn't talk like that. We should allow those people. But like I said, personally, I have no interest in seeing Jechikwesin go to court, to jail. I have no interest. It doesn't serve me or my political party anything. For our party, tomorrow, if there is a by-election anywhere, we'll go and contest. But we don't decide whether there will be a by-election or we don't declare a by-election in any constituency.
Very well.
And so we are not interested in Jechikwesin being prosecuted or not prosecuted. In that same manner, others should also allow the institutions as they are to work. If the Attorney General feels that this matter should go to its logical conclusion, why not? We should allow that to work, but we cannot begin to also call the Attorney General names. We are at the NDC, they've been calling the Attorney General names. You heard their communications officer calling him names and saying all manner of things. You feel that other people cannot call you names. We can call those who are saying that he should withdraw the case names, but you can call the Attorney General names.
But the Attorney General is not in question here. Attorney General is
No,
an
but they've
agent
called-
of the
but- yeah, but
executive,
they've called
and
him
he's a
names.
politician.
Yes, but
And
they've
so
called
it's
him
a-
names.
It's a discussion or a matter on the political
Exactly.
arena.
So if
that
you also
happens.
make- so
but
if you-
the Domahini we are talking
He's
about
talking about a
belongs to a
politician.
different
He's
place.
talking about a politician. So he's coming to the political space. He's talking about a politician and discussing
Very well.
issue of political interest. So he's coming into the political space. And once you come into that arena, then others would. I wouldn't. But others
can feed on you.
Oh yes, why not? Because you've jumped into that arena. But I think that Nana Domahin should use all the energy and all the resources he has, and especially as a judge and a chief, to advocate for the poor citizens who do not have a voice and on daily basis are being jailed outrageous sentences in our courts, so that these cases can also be dropped. I don't see why J.C. Kwesi should be let go when somebody on Monday is going to be jailed 2 years for stealing plantains.
Very well.
But I think that if J.C. Kwesi feels that at this point, maybe I erred or something, and so Attorney General, at this one, I'm already in Parliament, let me go. That's how we do it. But you don't leave your.
Go and beg.
Yeah, you can beg. Why not? Why we do it all the time?
You should go and beg the AG.
No, you go. No, you make a case.
You send people to go and
not
beg.
beg. There's something called appeal. You appeal. Why? They say tamper justice with mercy. Yeah. But my concern is Honorable Dafemepo and the members of Parliament who are living.
We'll get there. Franklin, I know your view about the whole Asin South, Asin North matter, the election and how the seat was declared vacant, etc. But we were speaking last week. That was the day, indeed, the Domahini made a comment. Giving your view on the Asin North matters and all, did what the Domahini say, change anything for you in respect of how you think of the Asin North matters, and what generally will be your view on the call by the Domahini?
Good morning to yourself, Miracles. Good to see you, and my good friend Dafemepo. Listen, look, I wish I wasn't even going to comment on this issue, because the more I comment on it, the more angry I get, really. But let me just leave it at that for now, and then focus on the Domahini's comment. Just as Miracle said, I think he's within his right to express his views, right? And to that extent, once he has expressed his views, well, then he's within the democratic principles or circles to do so anyway. If it is being assumed that because he's a judge, he shouldn't be making certain statements, even there, I have my reservations about that as well, but I don't think what they said is necessarily so wrong that he should be columnized. I think he made a fair comment. You see, the optics of the whole persecution is what is being discussed. I mean, if you go to court and then ask a judge that, look, this man is so guilty that I think it's better he's prosecuted daily, what signals are you sending when there are other far heinous crimes that have been committed for which the state has been quite lackadaisical in pursuing, right? People have died in some of these instances. But we didn't see the same alacrity and the same vigor that is being expressed by the AG in this case, in this case as it's been expressed, right? So it is the optics of the way the state has acted in terms of the J.C. Kwesi issue that is making people feel that, look, you've done all of this. Well, the guy has been chucked out of Parliament and he goes to win an election. And now you go to court to say that even though there's a criminal aspect of the case that we are prosecuting, you want it done daily. I mean, even a 5-year-old kid will read through it. So it is the investment of time, vigor, and alacrity in the case that is making people have suspicion that, look, you really want to nail this guy, really? And for what crime exactly? There's somebody who wanted to contest or who wanted to represent his people. Yes, there may have been certain issues. He had challenges because of time. I still think that whole conversation has to be put to bed. The conversation about whether he was within the right timing or whether he was qualified or not. I think there have been legal discussions over it. Dafemepo and I think it was Asari hold a particular view, which I lean towards, really, that, look, those issues should not have been about reason in court in the first place, because there were no questions put to the courts. It's on that basis that people have a view that the court erred. But let's leave all of that. And this gentleman has actually shown that, look, by intent, I really wanted to renounce my citizenship. But of course, I was stymied by time and COVID. I don't know how unreasonable that should sound in anybody's ears, really. So my point is that the latter day events concerning Jachikwe's is what essentially is feeding this narrative that, look, the state is vested in making sure that this gentleman is put behind bars. I do not want to refer to the president's own comment, because that will also lead to another whole argument by itself. But you see, it's the actors involved here that actually make the case look like this is someone who is really being persecuted rather than being prosecuted through the normal scheme, through the normal process that everybody who has committed a crime or otherwise should be dealt with. So, I mean, that's my position. And you see, I keep making the point again. If you are talking about representation of people, but somebody who is not fit to represent his people, we have been chucked out of representation in Parliament for close to 4 years right now.
As in
right?
South.
As
in South, right. The Attorney General made a mockery of us, I recall, at one point in Parliament, that we should be added to, we should just be thrown and added to, I think, the people of Boeing. Even though I found that quite distasteful, I said, well, maybe he's within his right to express the same anyway. But here we are with our representation, and the state is actually quietly trying to even come and mine iron ore in the very area that it is owned. You know, isn't it annoying, really? You know, so I expected the Attorney General to invest all his time and energy before the President himself. I've spoken to the President about this particular SAL matter. I wanted them to at least give us, at least give some sort of attention, but nothing has happened, right? So you are talking to someone who knows what misrepresentation or underrepresentation or no representation actually means, and seeing what is being done to Jachikwe, I can only say that, well, maybe they wanted to get him out anyway, so that the people would not have representation. Of course, the clearest vindication yet was the election. So I come to this conversation with a lot of pain and a lot of anger, and seeing that someone who really has done no wrong except to represent his people is being treated this way. It's quite unfair. So miracles. The reason why some of us hold the view that the state is persecuting this gentleman is because of the latter day event. Even if we decide that we are not going to start from day one when he was made an MP, how do you go to court to say that this person is such a hardened criminal? I mean, in quotes, that if you don't prosecute him daily, there wouldn't be justice. When you leave other crucial matters like the underrepresentation of a whole group of people in South, and the daily, of course, the murders that have been committed in this country, some of them high profile, whose cases are not being prosecuted daily in court. That is the issue that is at hand, and that's why some of us are worried that I don't think that justice is being served. And so the Attorney General, in the face of a defeat at the polls, at least, just say, look, let's hang my boots and then let's leave this case to die naturally. Because the more you persecute this gentleman, the more opprobrium and the more discomfort and the more opposition you're actually creating for the party.
But frankly, what precedent would we be setting? I mean, somebody allegedly has committed a crime, the person is standing trial, because the person has won an election and because the person's people think that he should be the one to represent them. Nonetheless, I mean, irrespective of anything that has happened, the person should be left off the hook. What will we be saying to the future generations?
The person of a crime has been committed in the first place.
That's what I said allegedly, but the person is standing trial, so we cannot say that the person is guilty. But the state feels that there's enough for the person to answer to.
No, but there are motivations for making allegations about crime. To the extent that itself has not been determined, you cannot be seen to be acting in a certain manner that makes us believe that you are really, really vested in ensuring that this man is jailed. Like the daily prosecution, well, I call it persecution, really. So the way you act is the optics I'm referring to. You know, as an Attorney General, you are there for the entire country, the entire state, and its citizens. If you can be so interested in a citizen's matter to the extent that when he has not even been proven of the crime, you are moving heaven and earth to ensure that this gentleman is actually put behind bars. Well, what does it tell the rest of the citizens about their cases? And I refer to SAL. I've not seen the Attorney General's singular opinion, in fact, humane opinion on the matter. Not at all, except to say that damn them at, what's it called, Mr. Adams says, what's it called,
Constituency, boy.
And you see, these comments, when you make them, they evoke certain undertones that some of us do not want to say them expressly, because that's what that people say back home in the region. And it's because they have a certain category. But I don't like to dignify such comments. But you see, you are feeding these sentiments, you know. So, I mean, anyway, let me just leave it there.
All right, so this is the big issue coming to you live from 97.3 City FM. We're looking at the matter of the Assin North, you know, the aftermath of the elections, comments by Domahini Dosadio Ajiman II, pointing to the fact that the Attorney General should discontinue the trial of the Honorable Gyakye Quayson, who has been again elected Member of Parliament for the area. That comment has drawn quite some praise or criticism from various sides of the political divide, with some praise in it, of course, and others thinking that it's not a comment that he ought to have made as a paramount chief and as a judge for that matter. People think various things about it. To help us do the discussion, or helping us do the discussion, you just heard Franklin Kujo, who is president of Imani Africa, the Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dapamoko, who is MP for South Dai, and then Dennis Miracles Abuaji, who is a presidential staffer. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll delve deeper into this and now consider what Parliament, the minority side of Parliament, is doing, boycotting Parliament on the days that Gyakye Quayson and a few of their colleagues will be standing trial. Is it a sustainable strategy, and is it the best use of the constituents' resources? You know, is that the way to go? How long can they push this? And do you think doing this will even send a signal to the Attorney General to discontinue the case in any way? This is the big issue. My name is Solomon, and we'll be back with more. Don't go away.
Get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, innovation, and mastery of men.
Hi, welcome back to The Big Issue. We are live on City TV. Big welcome to our TV viewers. We're on City FM as well. We are on YouTube at CityTube. And we this morning are discussing two key issues, and maybe three. One is the aftermath of the Gyakye Quayson election, comments that have come in from key personalities like the Domahini Osiadio Ajiman II, in respect of the fact that he thinks the Attorney General should discontinue the case. Senior lawyer Samuel Kujeto hasn't taken it kindly at all. Maretta Brew, appeal upon former Attorney General, has supported the move. Ayikwe has said that even though the Attorney General is the one who initiates prosecutions, he's not very independent in that matter, and he must broaden the discussion. The discussion must be broadened before a decision could be taken. But it's of the view that because future elections will be conducted and held at Assinov, the government and the MPP must look at it properly and know what to do. So we also look at the matter of the NDC in Parliament. They say they will boycott proceedings on days where the Chikwesen will be going to court, and some of their members who are standing trial. We'll look at that. Also, on our second topic, we'll look at the anti-LGBTQ and matters arising. The bill is gone past the debate stage. We understand that it's at the consideration stage where some amendments will be proposed, etc. It was unanimous. There was no dissenting view, which was quite surprising because before, people have said one or two things about portions of the bill. Why didn't anybody raise any contrary view on the matter on the day of debate? Were they afraid that their constituents, most of whom are against the practice of LGBT, were they afraid that they would punish them at the polls later? What really was the issue? Of course, Amnesty International and a few others have expressly voiced their revulsion at the bill, and they think that it constricts the rights of persons who identify as LGBT practitioners. Well, the general view is that Ghanaians do not subscribe to that, and that is why the Parliament is passing the bill. We'll look at that as well. This time we look at the National Buffer Stock matters. Some food suppliers have been, until yesterday, were picketing and sleeping at the premises of the company for the past 3-4 days. Minister for Agri yesterday went to speak to them, and the day before, and assured them that by the 17th of this month, some payments will be made to them. As we speak, our information is that they are no more there. They've gone home, and it appears that they are hopeful that the minister's comment to them will yield results. Yes, back to the discussion. I don't know if you have any comments to make.
I have a couple of rebuttals.
Quickly, so that we can move it forward. Yes, I'll give you.
You have spoken.
I'll ask the question, so you can do that.
You spoke at length.
It's all right. When I ask you the question,
let me add to where Franklin left off and say that the Rule 52 that I quoted from the LI 2423 2020 is so powerful. So to the extent that the Attorney General stood in court and said that Kwesi was not engaged in a national exercise and that he was on a selfish quest, Inisa breaches this rule.
Who says to the
Attorney General?
Attorney General. He said it where?
Yes, he said it in court, in open court.
Okay. Was it the day of his swearing in?
No. Even before the elections.
Okay, because I understand
the
the
lawyers,
day of the swearing in.
The prayer of the lawyers were that, or amongst others, was that because the election was to be held in a couple of days' time, they were praying for the court to, in fact, to hear the matter after ex post facto the holding of the election. Then the Attorney General's reaction was that it was such an exercise, wasn't a national exercise, and that the member or the accused person was engaged in a selfish quest. This is what the rule says. It says a lawyer shall not make a statement which the lawyer knows to be false or with reckless disregard for its truth or falsity concerning the qualification or integrity of a candidate for election. Not merely about a judge. As a lawyer, you can't be making those comments. He was then a candidate for election, for a public election. So the Attorney General's conduct, go and check Lawyer Chachu Chikete's affidavit concerning his conduct in court. He listed a litany of conduct, citing the Attorney General that he is engaged in them. And as an Attorney General and leader of the bar, he ought not to be seen to be doing so. Everybody is concerned about the conduct of the Attorney General. He brings bills to Parliament. He won't come. He won't come to prosecute those bills. He's always in court prosecuting Gyakye Kwesi. Other cases, other very serious cases, including the murder of a sitting member of Parliament, is on the back burner. The issue of the men's goals with prosecution of NAM1, well, that's such a huge economic crime. It's on the back burner. So, like Franklin said, we're all worried about the expeditious team that the Attorney General...
Maybe it is the one for which they have evidence. The David case, maybe they don't have it now, or they are still gathering evidence. They are still calling, they're still looking for witnesses,
Don't make those suppositions. It's so bad. What does the Constitution say? If you say he has evidence. Constitution in Article 94, 3 categories. Category A, 94(1), says subject to the provisions of this article, a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament. The Constitution didn't say a person shall not be qualified to be elected as a member of parliament. Because when you are elected, before you take the oath of office, you are not a member of parliament. So the qualification criteria attaches onto you. 2, it says a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament if. So you can only spring these conditions and find crime in them after the person has sworn to the oath of office. That is the position of the law as contained in the Constitution. Because you see, what the Electoral Commission does, the filing of nominations. If I file if I file my nominations with the Electoral Commission in October, all right, and the election is to be held in December, it is a mere declaration of intention. I can withdraw my nomination before the elections day. And indeed, after I've been elected, before I take the oath of office, I can decline to be sworn in as a member of parliament. You are not a member of parliament. So Electoral Commission will have to go back and organize another election. It will not be a by-election. When you don't take the oath of office before you decline to take the office. So there are structural, there are themes in the Constitution. There's a structure in the Constitution. You cannot find crime on these provisions when the person has not gone through the process fully. How do you say that the person who answers to the question, do you owe allegiance to another country, and says no, at a time when I have filed to decline to renunciate my citizenship, then you want to insist that he hasn't answered the question truthfully?
Yeah, but that's for the court to determine.
Exactly. So the insistence that he has committed a crime and must be by all means prosecuted for it.
But that's how the process works.
I know.
Yes.
I know. But I'm reacting to your suggestion that perhaps that's what they have evidence for. Because there ought to have been a prima facie determination. This is a matter on indictment, because once it's in the High Court, it means they must prepare their bill of indictment. So we will go through this drill and let nobody be on an ego expedition that will come and beg them. We won't beg the Attorney General today, we won't beg him tomorrow. He can do his worst. And we are calling his bluff, because this level of persecution is unwarranted.
Very well. Now, let's go to the move by the minority. The minority is decided to boycott sittings.
Again, you've asked the question, I heard you. So let me give you a basis in law. If you go to Article 97, it says a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament. G, that's 91G.
97G.
97(1)G.
Okay.
If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to parliament to join another party, or seeks to remain in parliament as an independent member, I have my standing orders here.
But how relevant is this?
It is relevant that membership in our parliament is organized on caucus basis. The Constitution itself mandates us to belong to political caucuses. That is why, as we speak, the only independent member of parliament is politically caucusing with the NPP, which the Constitution prescribes. So the decision by the minority to solidarize with a member of our caucus in this manner is a tool available to us in any parliament anywhere.
At the detriment of constituents.
It is not about detriment. Who tells you that my people in South are not in support of my boycotting parliament to support Kwesi? Who tells you that?
So, for example, if you filed a question, for example, for the roads minister,
yes,
on behalf of your
Yes,
constituents,
yes.
to answer a question
Yes.
in respect of a road in your constituency.
Yes.
That day, the road minister comes and you are not there to pose the question. Have they lost or gained?
They haven't lost at all. Check the standing orders. The questions are advertised and the answers are provided. It is merely for some effect that the minister comes to read out the answers. They come with prepared answers. The answers are already publicized in the order paper. In fact, what I do is that when my question is advertised and is to be answered, I pick the question, I pick the responses from
Send it to your people.
I send it to my our platform for them to appreciate. If somebody has further questions, so that they will quickly alert me before the day of the. You get the questions and the answers before proceeding begins. So this argument that we boycotted proceedings, ministers came to parliament, who says that we don't know the question and the answers they brought? We know them. So it is a zero-sum argument. This government, the NPP, they walked away from their own budget. Have you forgotten?
But that was a strategy. It was a strategy.
So we are boycotting parliament to solidarize with Kwesi in court and minority leader in court. It's not a strategy.
No, I mean, if you say they ran away from their own budget, it's as
But,
if...
but they did.
Yes, they did so that because according to them, we do not have the numbers to do business on that day. And so-
May I make the point?
Okay, do.
And it backfired. Didn't you realize that the strategy backfired? We passed the budget.
But they
Hold
used the
on,
rules to
hold-
overturn it because you
Exactly.
did not have the numbers. To
We
do it.
did. We did have the numbers. We passed the budget. Why didn't they go to court?
Yeah, but they have tools in parliament to use, so they use it.
Exactly. So they came back to also use the numbers. So we challenged that, and we are in court.
And
That matter,
that budget is spent. That budget is done.
but that matter is in court. So we expected the court to have heard the matter expeditiously because of
Like the way the court wants to hear the question one. Expeditiously.
for over 2 years I'm in court in respect of the issue of the first ladies and Article 71 matters. It's been pending. We've had over 20 adjournments. So these matters are tools available to us in Parliament. The government's own party in Parliament have walked away from its own budget. That was a tool available to. They saw it as a tool. We working out it's not a tool for us. So they say suddenly we are engaged in the dereliction of duty. When they walked away from their own budget that they brought to Parliament, it wasn't a dereliction of duty. So the NPP, sometimes when you give them just a small dose of their own portion, then it hurts them.
But the concern really is,
It is sustainable. Let me answer the second part of the question. It is sustainable. If they hear the matters on Mondays, we'll still go and support, but we'll come to Parliament on Tuesday to Friday and work. But if you fix the hearings on parliamentary days, we will go and support our members. That is what political parties do.
So is it your suggestion that the hearing should be fixed for only Mondays?
I am not suggesting that. This is up to the court, actually. To
But of
make
course,
a
you can
determination.
make suggestions through, the parties, and that suggestion could reach the court. So is it a suggestion of the caucus, for example?
We are reasonable.
Is that a suggestion of the caucus, for example?
We are
that the matter should be
reasonable.
heard
We are
on Mondays?
reasonable. If hearing of the matters are fixed for Mondays, in fact, all three of them, there will be no case in respect of our work in Parliament.
But so, for example, until this Jachikwesin matter, which triggered this boycott, your minority leader,
Yes.
Atufosi, was standing trial. Collins Danda and a few others were standing trial. This matter hadn't arisen. They were going to court.
Brilliant
on
question.
normal
Brilliant
days.
question. Again, it goes to conduct. Why were we not scandalized by the hearing dates involving leader and Honorable Collins Dowda? Because the hearing dates were staggered in such a way that that's a normal way criminal matters are heard. So nobody got concerned. But where the circumstances of Kwesi's was such that he needed to be on the ground days to the election. That is what happens in elections. You have to be present. Then somebody praised a court that within those critical times, the hearing of this criminal matter must be done on daily basis. And as a practitioner, I've done a lot of high-profile criminal cases. The courts will hear such matters in the afternoon, or they want to spend the money. You know how I go
to clear the
to clear the motions and those lighter cases, the way we call them lighter cases, so that they can have the time to deal with the big cases. By the time you are done for that day, it's about 3-4 p.m., depending on the nature of the trial. Your prosecutor is telling you that the next day you must be in court. As a lawyer, you must go and prepare, and so it wears you down. So the day-to-day, those who understand the nitty-gritties of criminal trial or trial at that level appreciated the difficulties that were expressed by the lawyers for the accused. So for the Attorney General to be vehemently opposed to those reasonable propositions, it got to the party, it got to us. That then there's something amiss. When he has bills, when you go to committee considerations, he won't come. He will send his deputy. He himself won't show up. On the floor yesterday, he wanted to take the interstate section bill that he's brought. He wasn't in parliament. So we demanded that if he doesn't show up with the same zeal and vim that he goes to say things in court, we will not proceed. His deputy had to leave. So I hope to see him on Tuesday.
Very well. Dennis, the conduct of the minority, they found a way of basing it on law. I mean,
we didn't find a way. That's the law.
So he's quoted the law.
Quoted the law for you.
They are basing their action. Yes, your people have said they are shaking their responsibility, etc. But that is a tool available to them, and they are taking advantage of the provisions of the law.
Before I come to that, I mean, Honorable Roxanne tries to basically retry the entire Jesse Question case on TV and trying to explain what the law says and how Electoral Commission can look at your qualification and all of that. I mean, anytime I hear these things, I wonder, don't you think all these arguments have been made in court by the lawyers of Jesse Question before the Supreme Court ruled? At this point, and I keep saying it, these commentaries, they are probably only for the value that they are. The case has been determined that Jesse Question cannot be a member of parliament. And so he should be expelled and his name expunged. And that has been done.
His name cannot be expunged.
Oh, I mean, from
that let me also correct that. The application is not a review. It's for a variation of the court order.
Honorable Roxanne, let me
proceed.
So the court has ruled on all these things. So as to whether I think it's gone.
And it's not gone entirely.
Until there is any new update, it is done. You understand? And any other thing is not on TV. Still in the court. Go there, go for your application for review, variation,
but
whatever.
The public must be carried along so the public knows what's happening.
But it's not up to you to mislead the public. At this point,
who is misleading the public?
Yeah, if you say anything contrary to what the law says, you are misleading the public.
But I'm not sure anybody is saying anything contrary to the law.
If you are making commentary that is contrary to the law, at the moment the Supreme Court will in its law.
But I can't disagree with that.
No, but
yes, but
it is law. If otherwise, you are misleading the public. You are saying that they should carry the public along.
With all due respect.
You understand?
It doesn't
if you say they should carry the public along, my understanding is that they should educate the public. Yeah, but if you say
you can't disagree with the judge.
No, if you should say what the law says, then you state your opinion.
But I read the Constitution. I didn't say anything otherwise.
Your reading of the Constitution was trying to say that the court has. At the moment,
no, I read and prefer my own interpretation.
No, what you're doing is on nice.
No, he's on the floor. He's on the floor.
When you were saying it, I was writing. You see, I wrote plenty. I could have intervened. So for me, I think it's completely unnecessary at this point. Go to the court, make the argument there. You can't leave the court and then come and make the argument on TV and then try to. You are just trying to be populist. You are trying to whip up emotions and sentiments on the people. The arguments should be made on the floor of the court, and then you show cause to it. Now the MPs in the minority. This is what they've been doing. I mean, from 7th January 2021 till now, the NDC MPs, they've constantly been engaged in politicking. Nothing has changed. It's as if almost every time they are looking for an opportunity to make headlines and cause chaos in the running of the state, especially when it comes to how the legislature can support the executive in their mandate. So for me, it's no news to me. I have been expecting it. And you asked him a very important question. Honorable Atoforsen has been in court all this while. All of a sudden, they've added Honorable Atoforsen and everybody to the Chikwesen and say, because of that, we are not coming to court. And just think about it. There is no way, and let me even show you why I think they are overdoing politics. Even if the Chikwesen's case is being heard once a week, and Honorable Forsen's case is being heard once a week, and Honorable Collins Dauda is being heard once a week, I'm not sure you always have them being heard on the same day.
But the court can
So you
say,
may
because you are MPs and you don't sit on Mondays, we'll do the case on Mondays.
But you can still have one judge also having other cases, or those people are not important.
No, it depends. I mean,
I'm just asking you.
It's a
Those
court
people,
management.
if I have my case, so those people are not important.
But the court is reasonable.
Exactly. So why should we craft our schedule and everything around you because you are in parliament? How about somebody who is also having a case and is a teacher and is a doctor and is a nurse who also needs to be in a hospital? Imagine if today the nurse or the doctor who is in court, the Ghana Medical Association or the Midwifery and Nursing Association say that, okay, so long as this our person is in court, we also go into court. You know that in this country, a lot of the cases is a state versus.
It's a criminal case.
So if everybody, every association, every group, say that we are showing solidarity, you can imagine the chaos. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we stampeding the courts? Why are we stampeding? Why are we trying to pressure the courts? Because you are a member of parliament, and there's another member of parliament who is in court who has not been declared guilty or not guilty. It is a court proceeding. And you are saying that because the person is in court, until you withdraw the person from the court, we are not going to do our work. And that every day that he's in court, we are going to be there. Think about this. Think about the teacher. Think about the doctor. Think about the nurse. How about all these groups also taking a similar stance when it comes to their members who are in court for various reasons, who may or may not be guilty, and also have equally very important responsibilities towards the state. You want to make laws, you have to make laws. You have to take decisions to support the running of the state. And that is a weapon, and that's the tool which you mentioned. That's the tool you are trying to use to pressure for your member to be withdrawn from the court as to whether he is guilty or not. You don't care. Yours is that, get him out of court. Otherwise, so long as he's in court, we'll be there.
I think the point they are making is that the process should be fair.
No, but who is determining the fairness of the process?
No, so, for example, if the AG goes to court to pray that the trial be held daily, when that is not what happens normally, then they have a cause.
But that is not the decision. But that's not the decision of the AG. As for the AG, he is the prosecutor. He will do everything.
But you see, the AG is a prosecutor, but he's also the Minister for Justice.
But he is the prosecutor.
But would that be just?
But he is the prosecutor.
Would that be in pursuit of justice?
The justice lies in the bosom of the judges, not necessarily the.
But he's Minister for Justice.
But the judges are the ones who are going to.
So he must be seen to be pushing for justice.
But the judges are the ones who are going to take the decision. Otherwise, the Attorney General would always let everybody.
But you don't agree that the Attorney General and Minister for Justice is heavily tilted towards his Attorney General or prosecutorial function than the Minister of Justice, because Judge Kwesi is a citizen of Ghana, and he also deserves justice.
But why?
So the Attorney General.
So if you go to court, every day,
the Attorney General should be seen pushing for that justice for him.
So if you go to court every day to make your case, to have your trial,
if that is not how the normal course of things,
but then it's not justice.
If that's how the normal course of things,
that is injustice. No, but that is injustice.
But if it's unfair, it cannot be just.
That affects the veracity of your case or otherwise.
No, but it affects the person. For example, his lawyers must prepare properly to come to court to represent him. So if they are to come every day, that will have some difficulty.
But that decision is in the court, and that is why even Jesse Kwesi's lawyers have also appealed and said, maybe if you should relook at this for us, we would appreciate. Isn't all part of the court processes? As the Attorney General is in court with the Chikwesi, wouldn't the Chikwesi lawyers also be joining motions here and there and make appeals here and there? It's all part of the process. So if the Attorney General, who is a prosecutor, has gone to court to say, I would prefer a daily trial, and the judges grant it, and you think that you will not be able to meet up to that daily trial, you go back to the court, just as you have done. What has that got to do with MPs abandoning their responsibilities in the chamber? Simply because, like you said, it is a tool for them to use. And I asked you a very simple question, which you haven't responded, that imagine if all doctors should run to court and say, we are standing by our members until you withdraw them from court. Imagine all nurses Imagine all police officers. Imagine all military people. Don't you have police, military, nurses, and doctors in court who may or may not be guilty? Whose cases in court today, some of their members feel that is unfair? Some of their cases in court, some of their members feel that no, there is no case against them. But who is going to determine whether your case is fair or not? Who is going to determine whether you are guilty or not? It is the courts. So allow the courts to work.
If they feel that the manner in which the prosecution is running or is seeking to run the case will prejudice the case or make it unfair for their member, they can speak up.
But you do it in the courts, isn't it? You're a lawyer.
Yeah, but they are doing it in the courts.
Yeah, but at the moment...
But there's support.
No, but
you can't say I shouldn't go and support
I am not
person.
saying don't go and support your person. I am saying that allow the police, the doctors and the nurses to also take a similar stance. It's unreasonable. You support, but the level of support, the manner in which they are showing this support is unreasonable. The same way they are able to preempt and think that, oh, because you are doing a daily trial, we think you are trying to persecute. It is quite obvious that they had decision to boycott parliament to go to court. Please let me land. They had decision to also boycott parliament to go and, in the name of we support J.T. Kwesi, there's also a bad faith. And that they are also doing that as a result of politicking. And knowing that their decision will affect the smooth running of the state. Is that fair to make that point also?
Very well, but
exactly.
Yes, as a non-lawyer, as an objective bystander or somebody who watches things, you think the daily trial of the person is in order?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm not a lawyer.
But you're an objective.
Why? If for example, for J.T. Kwesi, if that will get his case discharged quickly, especially for those who think he is innocent or he's not guilty, it will get him quickly out of court. Wouldn't it be right? So he can get back to his work.
You need time to prepare for your case.
But if you are not guilty,
how innocent
if you are not guilty, if you are not guilty, and your case will be done quickly.
No, but you need to prepare. You need to prepare for your case.
Exactly. So that is why it depends on how you look at it. Because for some people, they will think that there are people in court who wish their cases are called every day. Go to Kotobabi police station. Some people are languishing in prison cells for months without even being called to court. Go to the Cantonment police station. People go and lobby.
And exactly the point.
Please hold on.
Shouldn't the AG also be interested in those people to ensure that their cases are also called?
The point is that why isn't the people's representative making a case for those people?
But why is the focus on this?
Why isn't the people's representative? Ask the AG that question. I'm also asking the people's representative. Why isn't the people's representative using the same energy and zeal to fight for their citizens who are languishing in police custody and whose cases have been called for months? There are some whose dockets are missing. There are some who they will tell you that the investigator has been transferred. And since then, nobody has even come to check on them. You know these issues. Why isn't the people's representative using the same energy they are using to defend one of their own, who is in their class, to defend these innocent, poor people who are also languishing in police?
Yeah, but for me, in the end, a lot comes to the plate of the AG.
No, a lot comes to the plate of the people's representatives.
No, the AG is the one who initiates. The AG initiates.
That is why
the prosecution.
That is why I made the points earlier that people always make this argument depending on where they stand. And that is why I see a lot of bad faith. I see a lot of hypocrisy in the actions of the minority. Because it is one of their own, and they have neglected.
And you don't see bad faith and hypocrisy in the action of the AG.
Again, I told you that also depends on where you stand. Somebody will argue that.
Where you stand right now, you don't see anything.
No, where I stand right now tells me that it will quickly get the Chikwesen off the pressure.
No, and I'm saying that it's unfair because he has to be in court every single day.
Then I think
which will be to the detriment of his constituents.
I have a view that the Chikwesen every day being in Parliament and knowing that there is a court case moving around him put a lot of pressure on him. So my view is that if it's done quickly, unlike all the other cases that we do in this country, if it's done quickly, then he can have the peace of mind to focus. But if he feels that no, in that manner rather, it will affect me, he should go to court and go and appeal like he has done. There is nothing wrong with it. But what has that got to do with the members of parliament abandoning their responsibility in bad faith in the name of we are going to support J.T. Kwesi? And now we've been saying that withdraw all the cases you have against our colleagues before we even cooperate with you. How is that connected? That is where my concern is. And I am saying that today, as we speak, it is not only J.T. Kwesi who is having, in your view, injustice or unfair treatment in the courts. Unfair treatment is not only about how fast your court case is being called. Unfair treatment also depends on how slow your court case is being heard. And I'm telling you that today in Ghana, the number of slow cases in this country are more than the number of fast cases in this country. So that energy that today the members of parliament of the NDC are using to support one of their own, why haven't they used that energy for their constituents?
Very well.
Who are languishing in police cells, who are languishing in prison custodies, simply because their cases have not been called. It is just politics as usual. That is what they are doing.
Very well.
I haven't finished.
Oh, but you've been speaking for a while. Let me go to Frank.
You measure mine, you don't measure that of
Oh, no, but he doesn't complete. You complete.
You're going to rebut.
Yes.
They will not finish this. Franklin.
When you spoke, I didn't rebut. I noted
Just
that.
went to town. I also noted this I must rebut.
The daily trial versus
the
minorities' strategy or decision to boycott parliamentary sittings. I mean, they have a duty to their constituents, but they're also saying that they are using the law to vindicate what they think is their right. What do you stand in this?
You know, there's a famous quote, I've forgotten the person who said it, that any time the legislature sits, no man is free, essentially because they may be passing all manner of bills, which is either taxing you or making sure your life is going to be in danger for the rest of your life, really.
So it's better they don't sit.
No, the point I'm making is that even if they could be described as such, imagine if one of their own is being persecuted daily in court, they will definitely run to the support of the person. So, like I said earlier, the optics of this political trial makes it very difficult for anybody to sympathize with the AG or with the government or the state in this matter. So, flowing from that argument, and if the MPs are elected to use the tools available to them, well, so be it, really. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what they are trying to do, except to say that they should do it responsibly. I'm not too sure that piling up there every day maybe the wisest thing to do. But you see, I mean, I thought they were being truant, but unfortunately, it looks as if the only tool available to them right now is to support their own. As I said, this persecution is unjustified, and so anyhow that is being defended, they have my support, really.
Very well. So this is the big issue. We will take a short break. When we come back, we'll move to the other discussion, which has to do with the LGBT and matters arising. You can send your comments to our WhatsApp line 020-444-7033. 020-444-7033 is displayed on your screen. This one from Eddie Nashimota says, Jesse Kwesen is not being prosecuted. He is being persecuted. And a few others I'll read to you after the break. Don't go away.
This is the neighborhood I'm having my twins.
The very reason why I took it for us. See, the price is very good and it's spacious to contain all of us. Alphabet City. Now I'm a landlord. I don't pay rent. And my Airbnb business is booming.
To me, Pamini, bank and I'm an Alphabet City. The pension pay me 20%. The payment plan, I want to share my just say very smooth.
This is a healthy place to raise our families and creating peace. Come on, be my neighbor.
Alphabet City, the ABC of Home Sweet Home.
Alphabet City is a classy and peaceful gated community in Sakumono. We have 24/7 top-notch security and high-quality access roads. We have 3 bedrooms and 2 washrooms, 3 bedrooms and 3 washrooms with boys' quarters. We have 3 bedrooms and 4 washrooms. We have 2 bedrooms and 2 washrooms, all with beautiful kitchens and kitchenettes. Call Alphabet City on 0240-111119 or 050-44-99999. Alphabet City, the ABC of Home Sweet Home.
Get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, innovation, and mastery of made in Ghana products and services with the This is Ghana Exhibition 2023. City TV and City FM will allow you to immerse yourself in a vibrant showcase of authentic Ghanaian products and services in the biggest trade fair and exhibition for local SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing industries, homegrown businesses, and indigenous corporate bodies Ghana has ever seen. We shall promote, support, and patronize various Ghanaian products, solutions, and services that are redefining the views on indigenous products and their packaging across all sectors. Join us at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly on the 26th and the 27th of August 2023 at 10 a.m. through till 5 p.m. each day. Call us now on 0205-973-973 for inquiries on how to participate. The This is Ghana exhibition is powered by City TV and City FM and proudly sponsored by MTN Momo.
All right, welcome back to the big issue on 97.3 City FM and on City TV and on CityTube on YouTube. We just finished a discussion on the politics, the Gyakye Quayson, Nolly Prosequa, and all of that, Parliament, minority in Parliament, boycotting sittings to support their colleagues, you know, amongst other things. Now we move to the next matter, which has to do with the anti-LGBT law or bill. Very interesting name it is, quite long, but for short, the anti-LGBT bill. Debate on that happened earlier in the week, but it was really a no debate because almost everybody supported it, and all 275 members of the House were in support of the bill. We understand that the next stage of the lawmaking process will be the consideration stage. That is where proposals for amendments, etc., tabled before the committee will be looked at. I don't know if that will spawn debate. I don't know how that will be carried out if some members of the committee or of the House do not agree with some of the proposals. I don't know how that will be, but Honorable Esia, who is a key proponent of that bill, he will explain the process to us. So that's what we're doing. Amnesty International is quite clear about it, that they do not support it. The Ghana AIDS Commission says that generally it is in support of it, only that it has one or two issues with it that hopefully will be addressed. We will have the Director General for the Ghana AIDS Commission as part of this discussion. So on this panel, we have, of course, Franklin Cudjoe, President Imani Africa, Dr. Chirami Etuahini, who is Director General Ghana AIDS Commission, Roxanne Nelson Dafamukwa, the Honorable Member of Parliament for South Dai, and Dennis Miracles Abuaji, Presidential Staffer. These are my guests on this matter. I started with you again, Roxanne. You are an MP, and the action is happening in Parliament. Yeah. Aside from that, you're a member of the Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, and you're also a key proponent, one of the 8 on this particular bill, private members bill, we must say. But before that, we'll take a short report on the LGBT debate, etc. So the debate began in Parliament this week with heated arguments on the floor after the Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, raised concerns of being referred to as a practitioner of LGBT activities by the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. The Speaker also called for MPs to oppose the bill, to reveal themselves or to show up. City News' Niaiko Okai reports.
Parliament on Wednesday had the second reading of the Promotion of Proper Sexual Human Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, during which the debate on the motion was held. Now, majority of the MPs argued in favor of the bill, calling for its passage by the House.
Mr. Speaker, as said by those arguing against the bill, I am inclined to say that if this bill is passed into law, there is no provision in any international treaty or convention that will be violated by the passage of this particular bill into law. And they have not even stated one to be violated.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy that this House of 275 members all endorse this bill. And we are religiously going to support the bill to pass. I am speaking to the House and supporting the bill, and also indicating the support of all our members, because our membership as Ghanaians, all Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians are speaking, and Ghanaians are speaking through their members of parliament. And parliament is very unanimous in saying that we will pass this bill.
Any honorable member who disagrees with the submissions just made by the Honorable and the Apia Kubi, that all the 275 are in support of the bill. Anybody who disagrees, be on your feet and I will recognize you.
If our language has a description for a practice, it means it exists, unless you want to dispute that fact. However, I am not interested in what anybody does in the privacy of their own home, in what any sexual activity anybody indulges in the privacy of their own home, homosexual or heterosexual. It is incumbent on us as members of parliament to craft a piece of legislation that protects the fundamental human rights of all Ghanaians, regardless of whatever beliefs they may have. For the avoidance of doubt and for the information of all Ghanaians, oral sex, anal sex, regardless of whether it is between man and man, or woman and woman, is illegal under our law. So if there is anybody who is practicing oral sex or anal sex today on a man or a woman, please note that what you're doing is against the existing law of this country, because it is a natural carnal knowledge. And so I will urge any woman, any young girl who is being subjected to any such practice under the guise of heterosexual, who is against our law, and to seek help from the police to stop that act. Anal sex is a natural carnal knowledge. Use of sex toys is a natural carnal knowledge, whether you do it on a man or a woman. And we need to recognize that and enforce the law of the land as it stands today.
Mr. Speaker, let us serve notice. Let us serve notice, Mr. Speaker, that Honorable Ahia, for his submission, said in 50 years there will be migration. Well, he doesn't need to wait 50 years. It's happening today. He says they will be extinct. In fact, extinction comes when they lack people. Currently, most of the Western countries are attracting our finest brains here and offering migration programs to bring people in there because their workforce has been depleted. They have an overage population. Because, Mr. Speaker, like it is attributed to Robert Mugabe, if you put two men in a room and give them 12 months to produce as an offspring, they cannot produce an offspring. And so, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to stand here. But let me use this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to celebrate Mr. Speaker, who has been a stalwart and a bastion for this bill. But for Mr. Speaker, this bill would most likely have been killed. Mr. Speaker has stood his ground and ensured that this bill has come this far. And I want to use this opportunity with the support of my colleague members of parliament, since we all support this bill, to serve notice to the Western powers that we have taken judicial notice of what they have done to the Speaker of Uganda. After Uganda passed the bill, After Uganda passed the bill, the sanctions on the Speaker of Uganda's parliament and on the sponsors of those bills, we will serve notice as well that if they replicate same with our Speaker and members of parliament, we will also take action against their business interest in our country. Because they serve in this country and make money from here and take back home. They cannot hold us to ransom.
However, an argument ensued between the Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West, Esla Usuekufo, and the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, over concerns raised by Esla Usuekufo that she had been referred to as a promoter of LGBT activities by the MP for Tamale Central.
I sat here and repeatedly heard Honorable Mutala referred to me as a practitioner of LGBT to the hearing of everyone in this house. I sat here and repeatedly heard him
Honorable Minister,
shout at the top of his voice and refer to me as a practitioner of LGBTQ. And every single last one of you is behaving as if you didn't hear it. And if in response to that I say he is mad, it is only a madman who will refer to his colleague in this house as a practitioner of LGBTQ. When you haven't seen me having sexual intercourse with your wife or your daughter or your mother.
Honorable Minister.
When you haven't caught me having sexual intercourse with your wife or your daughter or your mother.
Honorable
you
Minister.
Sit there and refer to me in those terms. In those terms.
Honorable Minister.
And we call ourselves honorable members of this house. When you all hear it and pretend that suddenly you've lost your sense of hearing.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
If the Hansard comes and whatever statement you think I said is in it.
Honorable Mutala, I heard it myself. That is why I am.
Mr. Speaker, at the time you think I said something, this honorable member also said certain things. What did she say? What did she say?
Honorable Mutala.
She said a man. She said that.
Honorable Mutala.
She said that, Mr. Speaker.
You do your withdrawal.
Withdraw what?
Honorable members, are you allowing me to control the House? Honorable Mutala.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, you cannot ask me to do something and I refuse to do it. Several statements were made by myself and my colleagues, including Honorable Esrausu. So which of the statements are you asking me to withdraw?
So, are you inviting me to say what you said?
All right, so welcome back from that clip. So that's what happened when the matter came up. Some arguments there between Esla and Mutala and all of that, but in the end, I'm sure that matter was resolved. So, Honorable Defendant, you were in Parliament,
yes.
And so, where are we in the state? So,
let me
is done.
Before this is my bill. So,
okay,
I would rather love to hear other views.
Okay, but tell us where we are.
This is what I'm sponsoring.
Okay,
but Dennis said a few things about Parliament.
That's in the previous discussion.
Yes, not previous, just a while ago. and I think that it's important that we set.
So do that in 1 minute.
Yes,
quickly.
You see, as members of Parliament, we cannot be doing the lawyers' work and the courts' work. But what we do is forgetting that we pay for some of these things for our people. And again, we just didn't leave Parliament. We just don't sit in Parliament and don't do anything. Yesterday, the Public Accounts Committee, when we sat, the prison service, the fire service, and the police service, when they appeared before us, we were told that over 100 persons are in custody whose warrants have expired. We quickly gave directives. You understand me? So we use our rules at the committee level to make a lot of interventions in the lives of some of these people. These are not matters that you see every day on TV. But the MPs, we do a lot. When some of these arrests, criminal matters come, we do a lot of intervention. So miracles should be calm
I'm
regarding.
not talking about bailing. I am saying that you are parliamentarians.
Yes.
You can do a lot of advocacy to improve.
Yes, but we do. But exactly what I'm
telling you.
Not with the same energy. Hold on.
Not with the same energy.
With the same energy.
No, you don't.
You are in government. You are in charge of policy.
You don't.
Very well.
You are in charge of policy.
So, Honorable,
you
let's
cannot implement.
But you are using your energy to affect the policy.
No, I make the law. You implement.
Use
you
the same energy.
Very well.
Boycott parliament to support your constituents. Boycott parliament to support your constituents.
Then add your implementation powers to BNC.
Very well. The point is one. So let's go to LGBT.
Now, in respect of these LGBT matters. Look, bro, we cannot stop it, but we have to check it.
You cannot stop it.
We can't stop it.
We have to check it. That's an important code.
Yes, we have to check it. The checking comes in the sense that when you two, in the deepest recesses of your home, engage in this, that's your palaver. But don't pour onto the streets and seek to indoctrinate my child via many media, including books, cartoons, films, openly saying that there's nothing wrong with this conduct. Look, we received over 200 memoranda on the matter. The first time any legislation in our history attracted this many memos. Professors were against it, lawyers were against it, CSOs and all. We interrogated the issues. The attempt is that they want to equate this matter to a fundamental human right. Which is not. This is a lifestyle choice.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
But there's also the argument that some are born with it.
It's exactly. That is a medical condition. My brother, when you are born with it, it becomes a medical condition that is subject to treatment. Yes.
And there is treatment.
And there are treatments. There are medical yes, no, there are medical steps available to reverse
or remedy
the situation.
That's if we agree it's a problem. It's
a problem. But persons are going out of their way to change gender and say that they must have the right to be permitted
to feel male
or female. They are not ending it there. They want to have the right to determine these things for our children. Our children don't have the right to make even voting decisions until they are 18. You want to go to my 10-year-old daughter and indoctrinate her into this?
So maybe your 10-year-old daughter is feeling a certain way and she's confused. And they'll say, no, it's okay to feel that
but
way.
who makes that determination? I'm the parent.
It's okay to feel that way.
No, I'm the parent.
So you would tell them
my 10-year-old daughter
okay
hasn't felt that way. You want to go to school to teach her that it is okay to when somebody feels that way, it is okay. So she can also feel that way. So my 10-year-old daughter will come home and say that, Daddy, I want to go under a surgical operation and become a man. So that my daughter, who is biologically female, will now become a scientifically male. And you think that I shouldn't have consent? We are inverting the order of nature. And no law on earth permits that. So that tomorrow somebody says, I feel like marrying a pig as my wife. And they say it is a human. Why is it that we are not allowing people the right to take their own lives? Why do we prescribe that as a crime? So not every social choice or lifestyle choice.
How about the talk that this doesn't hurt anybody? You know, it's not as if anybody is harming anybody. It's my choice, and I am choosing to do it with the consenting person.
That is displaying a certain high level of illiteracy in understanding society and human beings and all. There's a cost to our public health. The statistics show that the preponderance of persons who are contracting HIV/AIDS is high among the homosexuals than heterosexuals.
It's not because of how it is, so they are unable to come up openly.
What is the how
and,
it is?
And because the law prescribes it,
we are
and so
even,
they cannot seek help.
The danger is that this is even in respect of persons who are quite bold to come out. So those who are in their closest, it means the figure is staggeringly high. So there's a cost to our public health. There's a cost to our culture. In our culture, we don't accept cross-dressing. I've never seen a chief that is dressed like a queen mother.
But culture evolves, doesn't it?
Hold on. And I've never seen a queen mother dressed like a chief. They all have their way of dressing that distinguishes them. I am here to see the president dressed like a woman. No, a minister of state dressed like the president. Those are cultures. People are saying by these lifestyle choices, we should begin to accept cross-dressing. And comes with it is this at so there will be a cultural disorder. If somebody says it doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't cost it doesn't affect anyone, it's a big fallacy. 3, how will you feel if children are permitted to be indoctrinated? There's no check. You see, we must resist the promotion. It's the promotion that this bill is seeking merely to resist. Look, what the locals has eaten, Salom, what the locals have so far eaten is fine. But we shall protect
what is left.
What is left. It's our duty and the law as members of parliament and as sponsors of the bill to protect what is left. If we allow the locals to continue to eat, tomorrow we won't have any society. Are you aware that, not that are you aware, you are my colleague lawyer, so you know that one of the cardinal qualifications to be appointed as a judge in this country is to be of a certain high moral standard. This issue is about morality. I'm waiting for a day where somebody will be nominated for the Supreme Court and they say that the wife is a man. A man is nominated to the Supreme Court or a High Court and they say the spouse is another man in this country. Whether that qualification that situation would satisfy the requirement in the Constitution. And let me add that, you know, by these lifestyle choices, pedophilia, which is rape of young men by men, is being watered down as a normal crime in these countries that are pushing these things down our throat. And so very soon will be rape of our children. When a man who belongs to this group of people decides to have sex with children, we should say that is his right. Rape is a high crime in this country.
But sleeping with young people, yes, that is a crime. That is improper.
But I'm saying that these people, the LGBTQ plus into infinity, it is one of the category of people in this class.
That they
must have the right to sleep with children.
Really?
You have
because I know pedophilia and all of that.
People have no idea what is coming. People have no idea what is coming. They are asking that the freedom gate be open to its widest extent. People want to have sex with animals.
That's bestiality.
That's bestiality. That is supposed to be their right. Meanwhile, when I, as an Anglo man, if I do pepper soup with cats, they are crying.
Animal cruelty.
Yes. Meanwhile, you want to be sleeping with a cat. You want to have sex with a cat. And say that that is your right. But when I want to drink pepper soup, you say no. An avalanche of all manner of things.
So now the debate is over.
Yes.
What stage are we now? Is it consideration
We move
stage?
to the consideration stage.
What does that mean?
Consideration means this is the stage where we do the clause by provision analysis and passage into law.
So this is where the issue will be.
This is where we enact the law. This is what we call the enactment stage.
Okay, because the debate stage then will be in terms of the principle.
Yes.
Which all of you
we've all had our bites.
So what happens then? Would there be another debate, or would this consideration stage bring about another debate?
Yes, it does. In fact, if you go to clause 1, it will be read. Then Speaker will say, honourable members, the amendment has been proposed and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. So this is the enactment. So I will say, okay, Mr. Speaker, I am in support of the amendment being proposed. However, then I can also add or detract. You understand? The Speaker will hear me.
So there's a stalemate. You vote?
Yes, we vote. Or if the mood of the House is such that we want to make progress, we can stand it down. Like we do in courts. Let's stand the matter down. So we can stand it down and make progress and come back to it at another time. But so this is what we do the nuts and bolts. This is what we do the enactment. So we enact after one provision to the next until the whole bill is considered. So if you have an amendment, you can also file it and it's considered. So when one provision and its sub-clauses are all approved of and adopted, then Speaker will put the question on that whole provision to form part of the bill. Then it is enacted. Then we move to the next. So it's such a laborious process. So this is where you see very few MPs participating, because
it's a laborious
process. It's a very technical area of MPs' work. So very few get interested and show some expertise.
I see.
Yeah. And so that's why the leader of the House has over the period formed what we call the winnowing committee. The winnowing process is simply to separate the chaff from the grain. It's an agrarian term. So when we do the consideration and some provisions are hanging, some amendments are not agreed to, but the sponsor insists that it should be agreed to, they are all put together and given to the winnowing committee, who will then go and clean the bill up. So when we come back to the floor, it goes through the enactment processes quickly. So once consideration is done, if somebody has any other view, you can raise it again as a process that we call second consideration. After that, it is read the third time and passed. Then it's sent for, it's prepared, tidied up nicely in the manner that the House agreed to in terms of the sequence and outlining. Then it is presented to the President.
Very well. I'll get back to you on some of the issues that have been raised, like the fiscal burden in the place of government, etc., because it's a private member's bill. Let me speak to the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Tremi Ituahini. Doc, welcome to the program. Earlier in the week, in Parliament, it was said that you were against the passage of this bill. I know you came out to rebut it, to say that no, in principle, you support the bill. However, you appear to have a few challenges with certain clauses. Is this correct?
Thank you, Salom, for having me. And good morning to your audience.
Good morning.
Yeah, at this stage, I think the issue should not be about who is for or against the bill.
No, I just wanted to set the stage.
Yes,
so
I will come to that.
Okay.
For us, Parliament has its constitutional mandate, and the mandate is to make laws. And therefore, there is a procedure for making laws. When bills are submitted, the standard practice is to call for memoranda from the public. And in this particular case, it's 8 members of Parliament that proposed the bill. And therefore, it was necessary for us as a people or a country to ensure that that bill is consistent with the Constitution and existing laws of the land, as well as it should be consistent with our international conventions that the country has signed up to. And in the particular view of the Ghana AIDS Commission, that law must be responsive to the public health needs of the country. And so what we did was simply to, comment on the various clauses in the bill and point out the implications for human rights. And in the case of human rights, I would want to emphasize, in order not to be, picked on or misunderstood, that the Ghana AIDS Commissions Act 938, provides for, right to health. And so all the provisions or the clauses should ensure that this right is upheld. And so that's simply what we did. And we made recommendations after we had made the comments. And our recommendation was very simple. And I would like to read our memorandum, the paragraph 144, which states that this memorandum recommends a legal and policy review of the bill to address the constitutional, human rights, and policy gaps that have been highlighted in this memorandum. And we went forward to also recommend that it is therefore proposed that or recommended that the Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament should kindly review and amend some of the clauses to enable GAC, and GAC here is Ghana AIDS Commission, and its implementing partners and donor partners continue their work. And the clauses being referenced in this case include clauses 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 14, 15, and 16. And we said that if, in case the committee will not accept these recommendations, then we went further to request that GAC proposes an amendment, and if the amendment will not be accepted, then there should be exemption clauses to enable the public health aspect of the work of the commission to be carried out without any impediment. So this is what the commission presented to.
Well, what do you mean by public health aspects? What are the specifics there? What are the public health aspects?
So the specific issue is that we are all looking at this bill as being about, LGBT. But looking at it with the public health lens, it's not just about LGBT. It's about regulating sex acts or sex practices. And sex practices or acts, whether they are natural or unnatural, can have the potential risk of exposing individuals to infections, especially if unprotected. And in the particular case of HIV, which is the mandate of the Ghana AIDS Commission, which is to ensure that we end AIDS and achieve epidemic control by the end of 2030. That is the target we have set for ourselves as a country. HIV, the group of people who are mostly impacted by HIV are those we call the vulnerable or high-risk groups or key affected populations. And these are men who have sex with men, transgender, sex workers, injecting drug users, and in some cases, prisons. But Ghana, we are quite fortunate that the program has been successful in prisons and has kept been successful in maintaining low prevalence of HIV in prisons. But all these other groups that I have mentioned have had prevalence, way in multiple folds beyond or more than that of the general population. The national prevalence in the general population is 1.6% as at the end of 2021. However, HIV prevalence as at the end of 2017, which is our last survey result, among men who have sex with men is 18.1%. And this is, multiple folds higher than that of the national average. Now, why is it so? It is so because the men who have sex with men, have higher rates of contracting HIV because they engage in anal sex. And men who engage in anal sex have 28 times the chance of contracting HIV than their counterparts who do not engage in anal sex.
But why is it so? Why so? Why is it easier to contract it using, through anal sex than the conventional mode of having sex?
HIV is transmitted when one of the couple is HIV infected.
That is so.
And if the integrity of the skin of the whether vaginal or anal, surface area is compromised. And we all know that, I don't want to go into the biology of it, but we know that the rectum or the anal area is not designed for penetration. And so it is protected. It has a way of protecting all the substances in the rectum.
So in essence, because it was not designed for penetration, like you just said, forcing penetration through that orifice lacerates it and so exposes it. So it's easy for fluid exchange. Is that correct?
Exactly. So the point is that sex, being natural or unnatural, has public health implications. And therefore, the bill must be responsive to these public health implications. And that is where we found, the issue being a bit challenging. And our recommendations were to address these issues.
I see. Quite interesting because, yes, the HIV prevalence rate among this population quite high. And here we are as a society saying we don't want it and it should not be done. But like Honorable Member said, we cannot stop it, but we can reduce it, which in essence means that it will still be going on. So if I'm getting you right, your concern is that among the small group of people who will still be doing it, there's the possibility of an increase in infection rate, and they may even cross over to the general population because some of them could be bisexual. Am I representing you well?
Yes. There are bisexuals, and in every epidemic, you have people who are disproportionately affected. So if you take COVID, for example, we saw that the aged and people with underlying conditions were mostly affected. They carry the disease burden. In the same way with HIV, people with high-risk sexual behaviors actually have the high disease burden. Why? Because in Ghana, for example, HIV transmission is about 80% through sexual contact. And so anybody who engages in sex and do not protect themselves will have the risk of being exposed to HIV infection. And so within the mandate of the Commission, we want to ensure that this bill is responsive enough to ensure that we are able to achieve our target for 2030 because we have the strategies, we have the tools, we have everything, the policies that will enable us achieve the targets. But if the law is rather going to be an impediment for this, the achievement of this objective, then we all as a country have to find a way of addressing it. And I would like to say that per our data, it is quite clear that HIV is still a major public health concern in Ghana because we are having high new infections because of increasing risk that people continue to take. And now we are seeing various risks in different dimensions. And one of the risks is that anal sex is becoming very prevalent in Ghanaian society, in both men and women. And it's one of the high-risk behaviors. We also have a situation where more and more young people are going into prostitution, both males and females. And then drinking has also become another feature in our social lives. And when people get drunk and sometimes use illicit drugs, then a number of things happen. And so we are having serious challenge. In spite of the significant progress we have made, we are having serious challenge in reducing the new infections to the barest minimum. Our target is to reduce new infections annually by 17%. Between the last 2 years, we were able to reduce it by only 10%, which means that we are lagging behind. And so we will want all Ghanaians to recognize the challenge we have and not, just focus on the LGBT issue, but the broader issues of sexual behaviors and how they impact on the HIV situation in the country and how we should all work together to address such challenges.
I see. Interesting points you raised there. I'll get back to you. Franklin, interesting points raised by the Ghana AIDS Commission. And I don't know whether you have considered, of course, I'm sure you've considered the bill, whether you have any concerns or amendments you think should happen to the bill in this present form.
Well, I think there's been a lot of conversations around this bill, and at a point it sounded as though, everybody else was, should I say, wrong in talking about any aspects of the lives of these so-called LGBTQ people, really. And that's where my worry really is, You can't have a perfect society. I don't think there's anything like a perfect society at all. I'm not, in the same vein, I'm not saying that there can't be crime. Obviously, there'll be crime, and that crime should not be punished. But for some of these acts that are, well, dastardly, in my opinion, but not necessarily new, because they are quite ancient with us, sometimes I worry that legislation alone being pursued as the only avenue to, as it were, curb it, could achieve the result. Because don't forget, these things happen quite, and not necessarily in the open, and they happen in behind closed doors. So it is a bit. I mean, I as a libertarian, even though I'm conservative, I still think that there should be some space for discussing the very matters Mr. Tuahini actually brings to bear. Because you see, you can only identify the challenges Mr. Tuahini talks about only when you have a very fair view or fair structure within which you can identify some of these what the proponents call errant behavior or critically silly, if you like, unnatural behavior. So I think we should be a bit cautious in terms of trying to basically look out for the other risk factors that may be associated with these acts, but for which the larger populace is at much greater risk than just a close-circuited view on the LGBTQ matters. So, I mean, that's what I've got to say. I mean, it's not a perfect society. Let's not pretend that we can achieve a perfect society by passing laws. It never happens anywhere. It's never happened.
So
anywhere at all.
Is it a case that because we do not have a perfect society, even though the majority of our society frowns upon the practice, we should allow the few, in the minority obviously, to go about their duties normally, express it, speak to people about it, and do what they think they should be doing normally? Is that a view you hold?
Oh, well, not at all. I'm always saying that, beyond just expressing the view that you have a particular sex, the act itself are acts that are done beyond the view of everybody else, beyond the view of the public. So I'm just saying that it will be difficult to criminalize intent of people's sexual behaviors. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we should be cautious.
But some people are expressive with their love lives. I mean,
in this country, people don't hold hands most of the time, and people don't kiss in public and all of that. Can you say that because we don't do that, therefore those who do it in Western societies are necessarily is anathema? I don't think so. So what I'm saying is that we should be cautious in trying to deal with a matter that for much of its occurrence is actually we don't see, right? Unless of course you are saying that if somebody sounds coquettishly and then acts coquettishly and is a man and is asking coquettishly towards other men, then if you see that, then you can obviously say, why is this man trying to impress upon another male in a flirtatious manner? That's the word I was trying to use. I use coquettish. It's an archaic, sorry, it's a colloquial word. So I would say ambivalent. I am just saying that the very odious aspect of society, of sexual acts, which Mr. Tuahini describes, or which he's dealing with, for which is 7% lagging behind, and he wants to scale that bar. You can only get to those. You can only solve those ones if you have a pretty fair and open-minded view about how legislation should be made about these things. As I said, once again, you cannot legislate a perfect society. It never really will happen. So that's why I'm urging on the side of caution. As I said, I'm libertarian about these views, but I'm Catholic and I'm conservative, and so I understand why we share these opinions as well.
I see.
Yeah.
Dennis, did it surprise you that we did not have a lot of difficulties in Parliament? All 275 MPs supported this, at least at the debate stage, and it's gone to the next stage. Are there any difficulties you anticipate in the course of passage of this bill into law?
Salom, I think this LGBTQ IAAP, if I want to look at it, I see some A, I see some P, and all those things in it. It's something that is not going to survive in this country. And as a country, we wouldn't have committed any crime against humanity if it doesn't survive. After all, there's so many other things that happen elsewhere in the world that we don't do. And there are so many other things that happen here in Ghana that if you go to other places, they don't do. There's absolutely nothing wrong. And Honorable Roxton give an example, the cat situation. It's a delicacy here. It's a big deal. But in other places, they may probably even jail you.
Yeah,
you may lose your...
they will jail you.
You understand? And so, for me, as a global community, we need to be able to begin to understand the differences and not try to impose certain things as a result of our economic power, our political strength on everybody. For me, that's what I'm beginning to see. And that's why I'm not surprised this LGBTQI thing passed, through Parliament peacefully without any difficulty from anybody. I don't foresee any such difficulties. I don't want to belabor all the points that Honorable Roxton and Mr. Franklin Kujo have made. I mean, like Honorable Dambuche said in Parliament, in Ghana, it's madness. And I'm saying it in Ghana because in our context, it's madness. The same way somebody will see you eat cat and the person is in Europe or in America and will say it's madness. It's madness. In Ghana, it is madness. It's either you're mad or you are sick. And of course, madness is even sickness. For which reason you need to seek help, either medical or psychological, to get some of these things resolved. In any case, if you still strongly feel that it is something you want to do, I don't think anybody is fighting you with this law. I think what the law is basically saying is that don't come and splash it in our faces. As we speak this morning, I'm sure there are some two men who are in a room somewhere doing their own thing. I don't think anybody is discussing. And I want
for the record.
That's a good headline.
Yes. I love women
for the record.
Very much. Yes. And I love them very much. I love them in every sense, including sexual sense. In that same sense, the law says that until my kids get to a certain age, I'm responsible for their well-being. I teach my kids all the social values and norms, all the cultural values of the latter people, where I come from. Even that, there are differences between our culture, values, and that of Honorable Dafemi Post. There are similarities, but there are always differences. Okay? The children ought to know. When they get to a certain age and they begin to take their own decisions, that's their business. But what I am advocating for in this law is that don't let my child come to the school and you tell me that because there is a law that allows you to advocate for LGBTQI, you tell my child that the he that we all know is a he can now be a he or a she. For me, honestly speaking, I don't know why we are fighting over this. I really don't know why anybody who is pro-LGBTQI will be fighting anybody who is anti-LGBTQI or otherwise. If you do this thing in your room, nobody will question you. I don't think that in the law there's anywhere that says that we'll be knocking on people's windows and people's doors to open and see what they are doing in there. We always say that, no wait, people have been doing it. People have been doing this thing since ancient. We say don't come and try and indoctrinate us. If we want to do it, let's take our own decisions. If you claim the thing is medical, let me wake up and realize that medically, this is how I feel, and let me do it in my room. Even ordinary marriage, we have a law that bars me from marrying two women. Even marriage.
Marrying the first one.
Even marriage, there is a law that says that I can marry two women. Meanwhile, in our society, our culture, our own values allow us, customary laws allow us to marry as many as we want. Okay? Other religions allow them to marry as many as, but we have a law that says that if you marry the first one under the ordinance, you cannot marry again. Is anybody fighting that? Is anybody doing so? If you want to marry two, you don't marry under the ordinance. And we are living in peace. There are people today in Ghana who have 3-4 wives because they have chosen to do that. And they've done that outside the ordinance. Nobody is fighting them. So for me, if you want to have sex with a man, don't come and fight me because I said I don't want to, because I said I love women. Don't come and fight me. If you fight me, then you are equally guilty of what you're accusing me for. Go and have your sex in your bedroom. Don't open your window to call me to come and see. Don't tell me that we should all of a sudden amend our laws and allow a man and a man to flaunt it in our faces. We said no. We said yes, there may be a few who are doing it, but those of us who are not doing it are many. The same way we have laws that are preventing people from doing certain things that they wish they would do, that same way, there's a law coming that says you cannot publicly exhibit that or influence my child. How is that a problem? Salom, how is that a problem? Really, I'm struggling to understand. So when I hear people trying to make it look like, oh, once you say you love women, you are committing a crime. I said I love women. You can also love men, but I'm saying that our laws allow me to publicly say that I love women. It doesn't allow you to publicly say that you love men or you love you're a girl or you love women. How is that a problem? There are so many laws in this country that prohibits us from doing certain things that individually we would have loved to do. But the law prohibits you. Imagine if all of us begin to advocate for little things that we prefer to do. Where would we stand?
I don't like paying taxes.
That is why we have laws. The law says you should pay taxes. Solomon, you get what I'm saying? So my appeal in all of this is that we should put all these sentiments and emotions, because what is happening with all this sentimental conversation is that it is making us miss the details of the law, because we are not discussing it. I have a concern for.
Let me take a short break. I'll come back so that we look at the details of the law. I'll come back to you. Okay. So this is a big issue on 97.3 City FM, on City Tube, on YouTube, and obviously on City TV. We're discussing the matter of the anti-LGBT law and matters arising. There are some. I mean, generally, people say they support it. A few have one or two issues, and so they have written to Parliament for some amendments, and that is where we are now. The debate has been done. We are at the consideration stage where the bill will be considered clause by clause and where enactment really will happen. We'll take a short break, return, and deal with some of the specifics. Don't go away.
Our boss was like, a decent fashion designer only gets home at midnight. Midweight.
Man like Osimhen, Papa just the chop Italian league like Oha.
These are real housewives of Abuja. Those women are fire. What does OJ say again? A relationship with money is alhamdulillah.
Because they wear uniform, you want to treat people anyhow. Imagine this officer, I will clear on one line. Don't cost. Bruh, come on there. That's no matter. The biggest dragon for Westeros, that is small picking face out, flying bound. Right now, like Formula 1. Yeah, catch me.
He found the gold and asked her for just shaking me piece of the pie, and she killed him for it.
Obini, fair women, no.
No one tells a story like we do. Showmax, Africa's original streaming service.
You're welcome back to the big issue. We are dealing with the matter of the anti-LGBT bill and matters arising. The bill passed the debate stage. It is at the consideration stage where the amendments proposed will be looked at clause by clause. So we also want to do our own consideration here. We want to deal with some of the specific clauses. Of course, we have Franklin Cudjoe, President of Imani Africa, Dr. Chiremi Etuahini, Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, the Honorable Roxy Nelson Dapamepo, MP Saldai, and then Dennis Miracle Sabuaji, Presidential Staffer. Dennis, you on the floor. You wanted to start
Salam,
on the clauses.
So my point is that because of all the sentimental conversations, we are almost missing the details, which really is where we should be paying attention to. What is the law saying?
Okay.
What is the law saying? So I have a concern with some aspects of the law, which I strongly think that, like Honorable Roxy said, when they get to that stage, they must put all sentiment aside. They should stop pointing fingers at each other and now begin to really look at the law. Look at this part. Is this section 7? Clause 7 1C.
Yeah.
It says that intentional cross is a person who publicly and willfully does a grossly indecent act commits a misdemeanor. For purposes of this section,
misdemeanor.
Grossly indecent act means the way you go to the C, it says intentional cross dressing to portray that the person is of a gender different from the gender assigned at birth with intent to engage in an act prohibited under this act. These, for me, are some of the concerns we have to pay attention to, because then we may be throwing the enforcement into a very, very complex
gray area.
Yes. Okay. So somebody sees me, probably I wake up, these days, today is Saturday, the young couples who are dating, a lot of them are wearing big t-shirts this morning and men flip-flops. And they're going to buy watching. You understand? They're going to buy watching.
That's not our intention.
I'm just saying.
I'll address it.
And then, or somebody wears something that somebody's view, he thinks that, at this point, who is determining that?
Okay.
Who is determining what is portraying and what is not portraying?
Yes.
And I think that there are a lot of gray area clauses in there that we need to fine tune to ensure that we don't also throw the whole thing into chaos where people begin to, on their own whims and caprices, say that, hey, I've come to your room, I've seen you having sex with. Elsewhere in the world, they will not even allow two male to share a room.
Yes.
Okay, but here, why? I can go. My cousin and I can sleep in a room because we don't have enough money and we've taken a double sharing room or something. So for me, these are some of the things that I want us to pay attention to. But before I conclude, in order for us not to miss this point, it is very, very important that we stop pointing accusing fingers at each other. Because, Salom, when it comes to these things, it is not written on anybody's face. A lot of people have been very surprised as to who is involved in some of these things in this country. Elsewhere in the world, we have seen people who have been married for 40, 50 years, have grown up kids, come out of the closet and say that now they are this. So we should stop. We should stop completely making it look as if I come out quickly and mention Salom's name and say Salom is gay, then everybody jumps onto it and says Salom is gay. In fact, I may be as guilty as even the allegation that I am making. When we're kids, the one who is guilty is the one who is always pointing fingers. And he will be showing you, talk to this person, go and check here, until you realize that he's the one who is guilty. And that is why I was saddened when the NDC went to Asen North and they went to campaign and told the people that we...
But they denied that.
Video. He's on video. They've plenty of them, MPs and all of that. They went to do politics with it. Today, when they came to Parliament and they are passing the law, or they were considering it, nobody stood against it. And let me commend the private MPs who actually proposed this. It was both MPP and NDC MPs. And I think they've done a very good job. But we cannot really make progress and really do our children a lot of good if we don't stop the deliberate pointing of fingers at each other. We are doing it for political purposes, unfortunately. Like the way the NDC benefited from it in Asen North. So let me quickly accuse Miracles so that everybody thinks that Miracles is this, and then they build barriers against listening to Miracles. And it won't help because then we'll be missing the detail. And that's why Honorable Dambochi, when he got up, tried to draw everybody's attention to the point that we shouldn't be going back and forth on this tangent.
It's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue. The thing, we are going to pass it.
But just,
everybody agrees that we must pass. Can we look at the details of the law?
I agree with you.
And make sure that we are coming up with a law that would really deal with the fundamental of. So if you listen to everybody, the concern is not that you're having sex with a man in a room. The concern is that our children,
the flaunting,
the pollution, the fact that you want to pollute us.
Yeah, I get a point, and the clarity with which you're speaking and Dambochi too, but not to do politics. But others have said that the president hasn't been that forthright in the earlier stages when this discussion started. Earlier in his administration, I think it was on an international platform when he was asked about this. He said he thought it was just a matter of time for it to happen. That may be true or not, but that position didn't appear resolute enough to the conservative people of Ghana in respect of this, who are in the majority. So that and a few other comments from other places, suggest that the regime may not be in favor of the private members bill, for example. So I think that's
How about those who have been seen in pictures lying on beds reading books with known gay people?
Which people have
Oh, no,
been
His Excellency John Mahama.
or seen lying in bed?
Oh, I mean, reading. Have you seen those pictures?
No, I've not seen that.
What's the
Is it
gentleman?
Andrew- is it Andrew-
Andrew Solomon.
Andrew Solomon.
No. I'm not
But
saying.
I don't know how reading
No.
lying in
I'm not
bed.
saying that.
I thought you just spoke about not appointing accusing.
Listen to
Yeah.
what I am saying.
Lying
Yes,
in bed.
I've listened
listen to what I'm saying. They
I've
were
listened
lying
to
in a couch reading his book.
But that's
My
not.
friend,
I've not seen that
just
picture. I know about
said
Andrew
that
Solomon.
nobody should
I know
point
about
accusing
Andrew.
fingers.
I know about Andrew
Would
Solomon.
you let me speak so that you get my...
No, but you've spoken.
I haven't. I don't know where you are coming
Wait,
from.
I know about Andrew
I
Solomon,
don't know
but I
where
don't know
you're
about
coming
lying
from.
in bed.
No, they were lying in a couch holding a book. I'll show you the picture.
No longer
and
a
then,
bed.
And then Andrew Solomon was a lead advocate for his book, Lunch, and all of that. Okay, and this is a known gay person. But you really think former President Mahama is gay or supposed gay because of that? I'm just trying to.
No, but the two are different.
No, they are not.
Yes.
No. Somebody who hasn't said for or against. You are pointing fingers at
but
him.
the fact
But
that
somebody
you are
who
my
has seen association.
The fact that you are my friend.
In the law, there is even ally.
Yes.
In the law.
Yes.
In the law.
But that's a law now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In the law.
But that's a law to be. The fact that I'm your friend is different from me saying that it is bound to happen.
But you are pointing fingers at me saying that the thing is happening and that it is bound to happen. But you think that the one who is an ally, a friend, leading the person on there, we cannot point fingers at that person.
Anyway,
no, let me. But you asked a question. So for me, my point is still valid when it comes to these issues. That if we say, you see, immediately you mentioned that one. I brought you an example. If we say we are going to, if we say we are going to go on that tangent, we are going to continue to point fingers, and then I'll call Honorable Dafiamapo names, he'll call me names. Then now we'll force Honorable Dafiamapo. If you look at the way the Parliament went, if I was there, I would have poked somebody. I would start mentioning all his girlfriend's name just to prove that he is not gay. Because now immediately you are accused. You must prove without any reasonable doubt that you are straight. And if you don't take care, you start mentioning disclosing things. It doesn't help the conversation.
Very well.
For me, I think that's what we need to do to be able to make progress.
I think Dr. Tiahini raised some very important points.
Yes.
That passing the bill the way it is will suppress those who are in the practice, for whatever reason, and they may be forced to go underground. And like you said, we cannot stop it, but we can reduce it. Yes. So once we can't stop it, they will continue engaging in the act. Yes. And by the graphic explanation he gave about the nature of the orifice used for this homosexual act, it's not designed for that. So there are lacerations. They will do that. A lot of them are bisexual. They will come into the mainstream population to deal with women, transmit the disease to the women, and then they infect the general public. And that the AIDS infection or HIV infection will keep rising. No wonder we have difficulties now because they've been unable to even meet their 17% target. That is a difficulty. That is a concern that the committee or the parliament ought to be looking at.
Yes, he appeared before the committee as a member of the committee and also as a sponsor. I listened to him carefully, but I debunk his assertions on these grounds. You see, this is not a conduct that we cannot, where we've got into, not legislate on. He's forgotten that there's the whole drive towards its promotion. The people are no longer saying that we are satisfied with who we are. They want others to join them. They want to have classmates. Look, Salom, this thing is acquired, this evil taste is acquired through peer pressure. One, economic basis. Two, coding and prison. People are enticing people with money. Young men are being lured into it for monetary gains. People are expressing remorse. People have gone and are coming back because of the biological consequences. People are being indoctrinated. It's become a whole movement globally to indoctrinate people into it. That is why people like us are resisting it. It is not merely a lifestyle choice for few people who think that they are being denied some presence or voice. They are on a movement. Today in football, soccer captains are being asked to put on armbands that promote gay and gayism. Why so? Why do you want to advertise this? Children are being indoctrinated through the use of cartoons. We know children, they love cartoons. TV stations deliberately, when they know that school has closed and children are back home, automatically they put on cartoons to welcome the children home. Cartoon contents today by Hollywood, they have gay, they have homosexual content. Children characters are encouraged to engage in homosexual conduct. A male character kissing a male character, a female character crying over a love that another female character has denied her. So that our children, imperceptibly but surely, will be acquiesced, will be absorbed, will be acceptable to such practices when they grow up. That is where the fight is. In respect of the matters the doctor said, whether these persons are willing to come out openly or not, when they are when the medical conditions erupt, they know where the clinics are, they go. They don't hide it. So he's concerned that this legislation will push them underground. When they have the medical condition, they don't remain underground. They come out. That is why how come they are getting the statistics.
But they may come out when it's too late.
Salam, they do come out. They are remedied. That is why we must check the lifestyle from taking root in the person. The person, a person is not endemic. The person is not accustomed to it. So it is the legislation that will check it.
Very well.
Peer pressure.
Yeah. So promotion is a big part of this, and that is where some people have had issues.
Yes.
Societies evolve through.
And I want to address Miracle's point.
Okay.
You see, that's what in respect of cross-dressing.
Okay.
It cites very inconsequential examples. Those ones, I mean, that is a non-issue. That's why we say intentional. When you dress like a woman with artificial breast, with lipstick,
not for comedy,
earrings, with a hairdo looking like a woman,
and you mean to dress like
you mean to dress like that to go and attract a man, that's where we have a problem. When you are biologically male, and I'll address the second concern. In all the legislations bordering on prescribing conduct, there's an element of complaint. So somebody must complain.
Okay.
We the proposers are not saying no. The implementation is left to the security services. So there will be a complainant, and when the complaint comes, there will be investigations. The police, by all means, statutorily, will have to make a prima facie determination. So if they determine that they are just on a frolic of their own, they are just having fun, that ends the matter. That is not what we are against. People, there must be entertainment, there must be comedy. I have attended comedies where the comedian has cross-dressed. This popular comedian who is now a film star, from Kumasi, Ejako. Ejako used to, when we were younger, in the 90s, when he used to do the concert party, if you remember, Ejako and Co. You know, the comics of it, that is not the it's a promotion.
Issues with
the deliberate promotion.
But society will evolve with education and information flow.
Yeah.
But now you prescribe that entirely. There's no room for anything. So society, in that respect, or many respects, will remain stagnant.
No.
But my other difficulty and media, etc., to monitor this. So, for example, Netflix is showing movies, you know, with these elements in there. How do we stop it? Or
to audit in conjunction with the Media Commission. These are things that there's been a laissez-faire attitude towards prior or now. But if this legislation comes, everybody will awake to their duties and be a duty bearer that this content must be checked. Editors, news editors, online editors will be called upon to do their duty. Academia, there was a long and intractable debate about academia, but we have agreed that academia can research into it for purposes of education, but not promotion.
So how does that work? So academia researches into it,
Yes.
makes a publication.
Yes.
And the publication maybe finds otherwise.
Yes.
That, you know, it is biological, it is not an illness, blah, blah, blah.
That is an academic work.
So
So
that will be published. and
Yes,
that
you
could go viral.
publish it. But there can be another academic work that will counter what you have found.
So if there's an academic work
Yes.
and somebody shares with me, I
Yes.
read it, and it counters the bill or the act if it becomes an act, and I share these around, would that amount to propagation?
No, that is education. You see, we are not legislating on a matter that will make you have an encased conscience. No. By all means, you can read to educate yourself. Perhaps the education is for you to understand the phenomenon. If I hadn't read extensively on it, I would have understood the phenomenon. That the phenomenon is beyond even the sex act between two men and two women. It's much, much bigger than that.
I see.
To the extent that physiobiologically, persons now want to say that I am 40 years, but I want to feel like a teenager. To the extent that we are being told that
But age is in the mind, not
in
always.
phonetics, in phonology, in linguistics, he and she, the languages, they are part of the advocacy is that now we must have a gender neutral language. They are creating their own Bible. That is the absurd levels they are taking this matter. That when I see you, Salom, and I see all that is masculine about you, I shouldn't.
All of them.
Forget about their wealth. But have you ever been to Saudi Arabia?
No, not.
Have you ever been to Dubai?
No. So
Forget about the wealth.
So it means what they have done to deal
Exactly.
with it, we will do.
Yes.
And so that leads me to the next. It should have imposed on the state.
No?
So for example,
So you have to-
I'm
people have to
talking generally about the media.
Yes,
So
but 108.
108.
But clearly, that is not it doesn't affect this legislation at all.
I
At
see.
all. That debate.
This will come with some cost.
Very well. Let me. Dr. Chahini, it appears your concerns have been looked at and are assuaged, that it will not push them underground if they have difficulties. Even now, they know where to. That is not comforting enough.
Well, I don't really know whether it will not drive them underground, because we know that when the issues came, excuse me, some media men actually announced names of some of the men who have sex with men and service providers. Service providers could not reach them. They all went underground. And I do not believe